Hello and welcome to PUBG Mobile National Championship Bangladesh region. All thanks to Oppo F19 Pro. This is day number 2 of the semi-finals where we're going to get started off and get introduced with Group C as well today. Yesterday was an amazing turn of events where the groups were, of course, dominating. Group A and B were dominating. They played 5 games, but today it might just be a complete different altercation. What do you think, Ankit?
I mean, yeah, I just mentioned it was complete domination by Venom Legends and even Esports, and it was so obvious. But now it's when Group
True.
C is coming in, it's Group A out of the chart. That means Venom Legends will be getting a lot of chance to get above A1 Esports. Number one. Number two being is that bad intention when they come into play from Group C, they also have a very good chance because when they played in the round of 32, it was quarterfinal. They were looking absolutely fantastic with the way they were trying to gun down and run down the player. So I'll be really hoping to see how Venom Legend will be securing their lead and also having my eyes are set upon some other teams like Bad Intentions, Kings of BD, which really had a very good run. So I'm completely waiting because it will be an action-packed day because yesterday's game it was complete domination by two teams, but today I guess it will be fair sight for the rest of the teams too.
Well. As so perfectly mentioned by you, again, we are going to be looking at Venom Legends yesterday. Maybe this was the strategy, right? Maybe this
Yeah.
was the strategy from Venom Legends that day number one, they'll just try and see what the teams are going to be doing. And then on day two, they will move on along and try and dominate as much as they possibly can because they've got 5 games on their hands and A1 Esports is nowhere around to be seen. But with that, when it comes to what is at stake, it is a prize pool of $30,000 on the line. Of course, right now we've got 24 teams being divided in 3 individual groups, but overall, only 16 teams are going to participate in this $30,000 prize pool event. So, of course, right now the conversation is from these top 24 teams, which teams will move into the top 16?
Definitely, that will be the one thing because at the end of the day, the round of 24 will get constricted to it, will get churned down to the round of 16 where they will be heading towards that final matches, and then one team will get the slot to PMPL finals, PMPL slot. And what are they playing for? They are playing for the bragging right, and also on this basis of point system, which is pretty much the same for the rest of the for last 1 year or so. The first team gets 15 points, second team gets 12 point, third 10, and it keep decreasing. 13 to 16 gets none. But it comes down to one kill points equals to one total points that eventually get added to your total points tally. And in that, Venom Legends have still been capitalizing upon because it's the only team in these 5 matches that they have played. They have been only team to secure more kills than they have secured more placement points. So I'll be really waiting to see how they actually try to play out their games. But let's now head towards the schedule for the day that is going to be the same as we just witnessed in the yesterday's game. It was Erangel, then it was Miramar, Erangel, Sanhok, Erangel. So Miramar and Erangel fills in the void between two consecutive Erangel, and with this we head towards the Group B. So these are the teams that we saw yesterday. It was Venom Legends, IPG. So I now really want to talk about IPG. Yesterday's day, it wasn't completely shut down by the other team because IPG were just not looking good in the way they were trying to take the fight. Eventually, the formation was also going wrong in their way, and it was a sad state of affairs where they just secured, I guess, maybe less than 15 total points in total 5 matches, and this is something which I really didn't expect from them.
Absolutely, but today, of course, we do have bad intentions jamming in
Yeah.
along from Group C, of course, along with which 7C will have the opportunity to showcase the aggressive play that they are going to be bringing to the table, and Kings of BD and the others as well. So it is going to be certainly an aggressive stance that these groups are going to be making. Of course, Group B yesterday showcased perfect turnover wins for
Yeah.
themselves, wherein, of course, we did see Venom Legends play. They are finding themselves with 71 points with the 5 games that they have played. In total, all the teams will be playing 20 games in the semi-final before they jump into the final, and that only 16 teams participate in. So for now, of course, when it comes to the overall ranking, we do not have Group C participating in this because today, first day that we shall see their gameplay. But overall, I'm sure they will be dominating. We've got the likes of course, like I said, Kings of BD, 7C, official. So all these teams from Group C are going to be hopefully bringing themselves up onto the ladder and maybe even coming into the top 5 to the top 10 position.
I mean, exactly. Group C, when they comes into time in for their gameplay, as just mentioned, they will be getting the 5 gameplays back to back, and they will be trying to cement their lead. And also the teams that are still playing, because it will be Group B again that will be playing today. Group A, when they will come in, that will be another day. But for now, it is the Group B and Group C. So C will be playing. eventually they will be replacing Group A, but Group B. Now let's talk about the other teams from Group B. It was Bots in Pajamas that really showcased the performance in yesterday's game, and they were still on that first chart with, I guess, one chicken, and they were on the fifth total point. So Bots in Pajamas were looking pretty good in yesterday's game. They
True.
got those kill points, they got those placement points, they were making sort of good rotation. Eventually, I remember that sort of curveball in the first game of Erangel from the area of Savarni. They made it to final to the area of a military base bridge where the circle actually constricted. Then eventually they went down, and finally it was, I guess, it was their game somewhere down the line. But it was really a good day for Bots in Pajamas and for the rest of the teams also.
Well, it certainly was. But today will be a different affair where, again, of course, we're going to be introduced with Group C teams. And again, we shall also keep an eye out because, again, I mean, yesterday, when it came down to Group A and B, we did see that there was a different sort of a play style that they brought to the table compared to the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
Now, when we jump into the semifinals, we did see BFS yesterday chime in some wonderful plays for themselves. We did see Silent Cloud play incredibly well for themselves as well. And of course, as the
TRZ.
game progressed, right? Again, TRZRA. Now, TRZ Esports, yes, we know that that team is consistent in terms of their gameplay, but TRZRA, that again, so perfectly mentioned by you, Ankit, was on a different ladder altogether. So, keeping that in mind, I am hoping to see Group C also bring in that sort of a play style and gameplay today because that is what is required to be a part of the top 16 teams that will participate in the finals itself. And that is something that, of course, every team wants to. They want to be a part of that $30,000 prize pool. They want to be able to walk away with $10,000 and be the king, so to say, and the supreme when it comes down to the Bangladesh
Yeah,
region itself for the national championship of PUBG Mobile. But it's not an easy ladder to
yeah.
climb when it comes down to the teams. Every single team, the teams that initially, when this entire saga started, for example, BFS and whatnots, we used to talk about how this team might not be able to make it, will not be able to perform, but now they have changed their gameplay completely in a matter of weeks. And of course, that is something that is required for all of these teams to showcase. But with that, when it comes down to the top of the leaderboard, it is, of course, always A1 Esports and Venom Legends, respectively. As of now, of course, Venom Legends will be participating today, but A1 Esports will not. And so we can very well expect Venom Legends to overcome the 83-point lead that A1 Esports has created. But that's absolutely fair and square because, after all the teams will be playing equal amount of matches. They will be given equal opportunities. Till now, Group A and B have played 5 games yesterday. Now it is turn for Group B and C to participate in the same. And in doing so, I'm hoping to see that Group C, not Group B, because Group B is going to be completing their 10 games by the end of today. But Group C will be playing their
Yeah.
first 5 games. I'm hoping that within those first 5 games itself, we do see a completely scattered leaderboard from the first page of the overall standing to the final page. I'm hoping to see that Group C completely decimates the entire lobby and will, well, again, I mean, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that. But let's see which team is it going to be. Will it be Seven Seas? Will it be Kings of BD? Will it be 6 9 Official? Will it be anybody else? We shall have to wait and watch, I guess.
I mean, exactly. We have to wait and watch for the rest of the five match of the day. The viewers that have just tuned in, we have back-to-back five matches lined up for you. It is again Group B that we have seen their gameplay yesterday. It was Venom Legends, but there is one more big team coming in from this region. That is going to be Seven Seas Esports. So three big teams evenly spread out in three different groups. That is completely a good thing. But some other teams have now started making their name big. We yesterday saw TRZ Esports. So TRC esports have been consistent throughout, but they actually their gameplay actually fantasized me in yesterday's gameplay. They actually showcased the performance where Mamba it was just going in with all guns blazing, especially in the game of Miramar where his reflexes were just insane. On the other hand, the other TRZ with RA in the name, they were also looking pretty strong. So both the TRZ, after the completion of five matches, they are in the top six. So TRZ Esports is not playing today, so it's better chance. It's a good chance for TRZ RA to actually overpass the other TRZ or maybe some other team. But will it be possible? Because now again, it will be an action-packed lobby where we don't have even esports, but we have Venom Legends, we have Seven Seas Esports. And talking about Venom Legends, so now why am
True.
I bringing Venom Legends name again in this conversation? We just saw head-to-head Venom Legends versus A1 Esports. The damage dealt surprisingly goes into the favor of Venom Legend, and that didn't go into the favor of A1 Esports. So now that shows that Venom Legend is just not shying away from taking any fights, and they are dealing with all guns, with all those utilities, and they're just trying to bruise off to their enemies, just trying to pulverize them to an extent that they won't be able to find themselves away from it. So how they are going to be surviving these onslaught, this is something that I'll have my eyes set on for the rest of the 5 matches for the day. But for now, I guess the match is already on its way. The flight path is already on its way as the flight makes it flies off from the area of Savardi downtown towards the area of military base. A completely, I won't say it's an eastern dominated, sort of middle to eastern, but each and every area is glidable except from the areas where some teams, if they would like to go towards the Primorsk, it is just unglidable, but you get to use all those vehicles. But for now, it's seen that bots in pajamas as yesterday's game, and we have seen their constant drop location going towards the area of Sevardi. Again, it was a curveball that was thrown into their favor, that went against them actually when the circle just constricted towards the southern side. We just saw two circles, two Erangel, where it went southern side. One, it was a successful rotation where they just got those close to 15 to 16 points, but still it was a very good for them. Just imagine if the circle goes into the favor for now, because in yesterday's third angle, we didn't see any northern circle that completely dominated on the area of maybe shooting range, Severny, Stolberg, or Yasnayapul. And if that happens, that will be something that Pots and Pajamas will be taking the advantage of.
Well, that could be the case. But right now, as the game starts off, right now we talk about the drop locations themselves. We are looking at the military base being taken over by the likes of 7C Esports, and they are going to be moving on down towards Nova Reply region. And on the other tangent, when it comes down to Python, they are also going to be going down towards the military base island itself for the moment. And when it comes to the circle, it is going to be favoring these teams that have dropped themselves down towards the eastern side. On to the west, we don't really have a lot of teams. Of course, we've seen BIP always go on down towards the Sabuni, as you probably mentioned as well. They will be they will be making a rotation. We will see that rotation wherein, of course, they will probably come in down towards the Yasnaya region itself. But on the other tangent, very close to them, or not very close to them, rather, is going to be IPG as well. So IPGx, another team that has not really been able to outshine in the competition, but we shall see what play are they going to be bringing to the table right now. Along with that, DoD taken on an early fight right there. We see right next to them is going to be UnstoppableX. And again, when it comes down to a kill department, it is made to be, yep, it is going to be UnstoppableX who have taken the first demise of the game itself. And along with that, when it comes down to Kings of BD, they have started off an aggressive stance indeed, and they are taking on Katappa right here on our screen. Is going to be taking down Auction Esports' Amit, and it is not looking good for Auction Esports. Of course, Goblin is going to be moving away from that situation, and Katappa will get a decent amount of point for himself, because after all, the kill has been confirmed, and this team, a three-man army, is what Kings of India have joined in along with, are going to start the aggressive stance with one kill against Oxygen Esports. So a good start for the team. Of course, we've seen Kings of BD play an aggressive stance when it comes down to the fights, but will that be enough? Because a three-man army is what they are, and a three-man army is what they've left Oxygen Esports with. So again, for the first 3 minutes itself, we are looking at a couple of fights that have taken place, and for the moment, it is anybody's game. It is going to be an easy start for both these teams, but will that be enough for them to pulverize their opponents and get themselves a solidified lead in terms of the overall standing? We shall have to wait and watch the kind of gameplay that Oxygen Esports plays. On the other tangent, when it comes to UnstoppableX, another team that has been brought down to a 3-man squad indeed, because they lost Insane in the early few minutes of the game itself. Not a lot of loot has been accumulated. So, of course, for now, only 3 minutes in, all the teams are going to be working towards getting the best loot possible for themselves.
I mean, definitely, this is the early stage of the game. I really didn't expect some sort of drop clash, because the circle still was on those the flight path eventually that actually led the players to go into their own favor. But this is not looking good for Oxygen, because just at the start of the game, we saw one player getting eliminated, and again the second player goes down. We just saw the players were trying to take the fight because they were running out in the open with an intent, because they were running with the way that they are trying to give a tight slap onto the face of Kings of BD, but it seems that they have been rewarded with something else that they really didn't expect. And also, talking about this, nothing is going into the favor. A vehicle mishap, they are still safe, but they don't have anything. Goblin is just running out in the open with bare hands. Doesn't even have any first aid, not no guns, not whatsoever anything in his bag. And they don't understand what sort of strategies Oxygen are going up for. It's okay if one of a player gets eliminated at the start of the game. Maybe it might have been his fault that he just went away a bit and got isolated from the rest of the pack. But still, the rest of the three players should have held their nerves, and this is something that the players individually need to take care of when they are jumping into the lobby, because till now their locations and drop locations should have been at least settled, because they have played a humongous amount of game. It was 24 matches that each team did play in the quarterfinal, but till now it seems that they have not settled with those drop locations. So this is something thing that they really need to look off. But on the other hand, it's XBROTHERS again that is looking pretty strong. In the yesterday's game, they had some good games. Eventually, a day that didn't went in their favor if we talk about the total points that they did secure. But time and again, we have seen this team as a whole jumping onto the area of Rozok, and they are still uncontested. And some players have also started making a rotation. Talking about rotation, it seems that Bad Intentions will be sitting quietly and nicely in the area of school and main compound. We have seen all these players trying to loot out all these areas, but this is an approach that can go against you. Just imagine the one player that was very into center lines of the school, into the heartland of school main building, and the rest of the player closer towards them, but they are holding the apartment. So if the player gets isolated, he really needs to take care of. But I guess the player have actually figured out that this is a place where uh, in the near proximity, none of the player from other teammates drop off, and this is something that Bad Intentions must be looking up to. What I expect from them is to maybe go for sort of slow start, just try to loot out all those areas, and then go for those edges, or maybe try to sit into the center. We have to still wait for that.
Well, indeed we shall. And of course, it is just 6 minutes into the game itself. And for the moment, all the teams are trying to capitalize on the positions that they've dropped into and getting the best of the best food possible for themselves. Right now, we do have 7C Esports onto our screens where Evil Eye and Badreva are going to be sharing the first vehicle. And on the other tangent, when it comes down to Rafat, he is not in a vehicle as we can clearly see onto the map itself. So implies that when it comes down to Rafat's position, he has already pushed on along and maybe is trying to find himself a decent placement within the circle itself, within the compound, and that is going to be something that we should have to wait and see. On to the tangent, it is Kings of BD who would look on taking a fight against the players of Mortem, but Mortem have their lead solidified. They are looking pretty confident this time around. Also, they have four-man army jumping into the arena. That is going to be working in their favor most certainly, because most of the time you've seen Mortem yesterday jump in with only a two-man squad, and that is something that of course did not capitalize in their favor. But today, hopefully, with the four-man army that they are, this will hopefully be able to change their play style, will hopefully be able to bring in a lot of points for them. But
Yeah.
eventually, that is something that we can only hope for, because after all, when it comes to the play style itself, Mortem has not really changed a lot of their play style, and that is something that will need to be taken place if they want to be part of the top 16. Moving the conversation towards XBROTHERS right here. Well, XBROTHERS have had a fun share of aggressive stances that they've been able to make, as well as one wonderful rotations that they've been able to make in the semifinals itself. It is, of course, just day number two, but day one, we did see quite a lot of aggressive stances from the side of XBROTHERS as well, and they were looking pretty A-OK, is what I would say. So if they keep on playing that consistently, they will most certainly be able to participate in the top 16. But anything can happen. Right now, it's only 8.5 minutes into the game. 16 teams are still alive with 59 players on the battleground, but let's wait and watch till the next 2 minutes or 3 minutes. I'm sure the fights are going to get started off by the 10th, 11th minute marker. All the teams are going to push on along because right now we are just in the first circle itself. So it is going to be a moment, or rather a pause sort of a moment that these teams have. But as we talk about that pause, certain teams will not be given that pause. We are going to be talking about teams that are not in the zone itself, where you can clearly see from Georgia Pole region,
Oof.
it is IPG who are making that rotation. As they do, they will have to cross against the players of UnstoppableX, and that is very well the position that UnstoppableX were maybe waiting for, because that team is going to be playing their first game right now into the semifinals, and they better be able to capitalize that position as IPG crosses right next to them, along with which, of course, we do see DoD making rotation and TRZ as well.
So again, it's a challenge that Oxygen, that Bots in Pajamas need to accept in their own. And now they're going for the late rotation. But brother, this circle is a deja vu moment for me because, and for you also, because we both yesterday saw the same sort of circle in the last game of Erangel, where the circle tends to constricted around the area of Novorupnoi Bridge, and maybe that the same sort of approach. In yesterday's game, we saw a lot of ruckus that was created around bridge, but I don't think so that at least any kill was confirmed, apart from one or two kills that was confirmed on the areas of Novorupnoi Bridge. But I would be readily waiting to see how the fights actually approach. On the other hand, it was Python that was still camping on the military bridge side, where they were just hoping that we might get some here or the one or two kill here or there. But I would love to see if some teams go for this extreme rotation, maybe from the extreme area of Primos and completely going from the southern side of military base, and then trying to make an entry. That will be really interesting to see, because in yesterday's game, we saw some teams doing so, and that was something that really paid them off until and unless it was A1 Esports who tried to really dominate the lobby. Since A1 Esports is not in this lobby for now, it may be that it may be a time that maybe 7Cs can find a replacement for them, or maybe VNM Legends, or maybe Bots in Pajamas, or maybe some more big team. There are a lot of questions that needs to be answered for now, but it seems that Oxygen are also stuck in this rotation, as we're just mentioning a moment ago, that Unstoppable Oxygen and IPG are very in close in proximity when they are trying to rotate from the northwestern side. On the other hand, Venom Legends still now they are in the safe sort of rotation. They have found a good fortified area where they can easily take the players down if any player comes into their radar. And here we go. Is that unfortunate? Is that the first play that Five Man was really looking up to? He had that 6x scorer, but his play could have been better, but still not able to take him down. Now, the player Devil is out of his vehicle. Now the shots are being taken him down, but he really survives to see another day, and it was really good fortune for him, because it was two players from the sides of Venom Legend that started giving him the spray, but he was still saved.
Well. Again, I mean, as you two perfectly mentioned, when it came down to Devil's approach towards that rotation, did not pan out the way he wanted to. But eventually, of course, he will walk away from that situation with his life still holding on to a line. But he has given away the information to the players of Venom Legends, as Venom Legend will now most certainly be trying to take on to the onslaught onto that compound to against the players of Kings of PD. But on the other tangent, we do have Sharp Eye, who has been able to spot Venom Legends' position as well, and it is Void that he had in his crosshairs. Certainly, a sharp eye, a keen eye is what he was able to bring in to that fight. But Devil, he is still not done. He is still not out of the fight. As we were just mentioning, when it comes down to the position, the positioning has been given away. The information has been given away to the players of Venom Legends. Now, talking about the circle itself, wonderful turn of events indeed. Now, we can very well expect a certain
Oh.
shift. And there we go. The shift has been brought on. A long Milta is where the circle will push on towards. And talking about the circle itself now, when it comes down to the position that 7C find themselves in, Kapshi is going to be making that rotation to the bridge. And along with that, when it comes to the team, his team, they are taking a fight all by themselves. And along with that, another thing that can be expected from 7C is to have a bridge camp for themselves, because right
Yeah.
behind them was Python Esports as well. And they are going to have to either make a water rotation or use the bridge.
Not only Python, it was NRC also in the same frame. So a lot of team that could go from the same era, because they don't have any other option. If they try to go and swim, that's something that they really don't want to do, because at that position you are in that handicap situation where only you can do is to hope and just not get spotted down. But once if you try to go and make a rotation from that bridge side, a thing that can go against you is that 7Cs might be camping for the situation. For now, I see the 7Cs on the other hand have some other plans, and they have made a rotation, and they have come onto the main island, and they have said no to a bridge camp situation. So clearly, it is strategy that has been completely shown from the sides of 7C, that they are not going for kill approach in the very first half of the game. All what they're trying to do is to maybe play on the edges, or to find themselves somewhere on the in the circle, and that can be a good thing if then that can go into the favor. But I would really love to see if some kills could have been secured, because then it would have been really tricky for Python and NRZ. But now, since 7Cs has fallen down from that position. I'll be really waiting to see can there be some fight that can erupt on the military base island. On the other hand, it's Kings of BD that still looks unsettled because the player are quite in the open. They are trying to make a flank angle. They're just trying to spot down the player. Maybe he's just going for that vehicle, but this can be a deadly approach. If he gets spotted down, he can be brought to his knees at any point, and then revival is the lost case here.
Well. 14 and a half minutes in, and finally, I think it is now finally time that we shall get into some fights. We are looking at a lot of teams who have been able to get information against the other teams into their compound. Of course, it has been the BD, UnstoppableX right now that are taking a fight all by themselves, and UnstoppableX as Hassan has been able to get a keen eye towards the three-man army of Kings of BD, have been able to eliminate two of the players, but along with that, when it comes down to the approach itself, will that be enough?
I mean, definitely that is a question, but we just saw Venom Legends giving a fight against Python. So Python is a team that was away from this island, that was in the Sutherland. That means they have made a rotation and they have come close to each other. Now this is a fight that goes into complete favor of Merciful, and Merciful looking completely merciless. And this was the elimination of Kings of BD. All credit goes to Merciful that took down Katapa into that fight. And here we go. Another fight is also trying to break out as IPG's player are also punishing the players of Unstoppable, it seems. We'll get to see once the fight comes into own way. But Mortem, they are holding this edge of the circle. They are on the right hand side of the circle, but they really need to get away from here because they can be spotted down at any moment. But with this, the circle has gone for the central shift. That means it completely comes into the favor of IPG and Boston Pajamas. Now look at this. They made those 3 late rotation, but then again, it's in their favor. And this is something, sometimes it does happen that rate rotation does come into your play and does successfully happens. On the other hand, some teams that have been constantly rotating, have been constantly moving, are still moving in its own way. So there are two sort of games that are being played. One team that is completely dominating and trying to go on those rotation is again trying to make the rotation, but some teams that have been careless on those rotation have been actually granted and are in now the advantageous situation because now they are holding the north edge of the circle.
Well, with that, finally jumping into the zone itself, it is going to be XBROTHERS going against the players of Oxygen Esports for the moment. It certainly seems like a 2v2 affair from the looks of it, but of course, we do know that XBROTHERS who have all their players surviving. So we shall have to see exactly what sort of approach have they brought on into this fight. Of course, they're not in the zone; they're very close to the zone. So is Oxygen Esports as well. But when it comes down to the flank angle, they do want to be able to take this fight with the flank and then be able to convert it into points. On the other tangent, when it comes down to Oxygen Esports, they would love to have been able to create a flank, but sadly, it's only a two-man squad that is left for Oxygen Esports. So not looking good when it comes down to this fight. They probably will be better off moving away and rotating out of that situation, and that is exactly what they are going to be doing. They are going to be jumping out into their vehicle and getting away from XBROTHERS positioning. Because after all, XBROTHERS do have a wonderful advantage when it comes down to the players themselves. They've got a four-man squad, and Oxygen Esports do not. So right now, of course, Oxygen Esports will be making that flank longer rotation outside the blue zone itself, outside the circle, and that of course will imply that team being able to be resilient for a few more minutes. But along with that, talking about 7C has been brought down. This is not looking good. Of course, it is DoD's one-man army, and it is genuinely one-man army from the side of DoD who is pushing and really surprisingly making the push count for himself. And of course, it is Kapshi right here where we can see he does have, again, I mean, when it comes down to this meta, we are looking at the MP49 being utilized quite a lot from all these players. They do absolutely love the amount of bullets that gun can hold and spray in one continuous burst. So that perhaps might just be the case. But along with that, when it comes down to one-man army of DoD, there is nothing stopping him from pushing on to the players of 7C. Of course, they have been brought down to a three-man squad. Evil Eye, we just saw, has been brought down to his knees. DoD's other players actually are not looking too good as well, as we do see now one-man army as well as his teammate are already knocked. So DoD is left with just one-man squad, but will that be enough to take on the fight and onslaught from the side of 7C? For the moment, of course, the revival is coming in, and that is something that DoD is certainly in need of.
I mean, definitely DoD really needs the revival in its own way, and once they get the revival, becomes important how they try to dodge the bullet, because there are a lot of teams that are in the closer proximity. Once they try to go away from here, they don't have any other option. All they can do is just to create the smoke path and the cloud, because if they try to go to the left hand side, it's TRZ already waiting for them. And TRZ, if they anyhow give any sort of sound cues, TRZ won't be letting them go away from this situation. But now, taking a lot of risk onto their own side, they are now trying to push onto the players where exactly the players on sides of 7 Seas were there. But a grenade is looking pretty much difficult for VNM Legends to survive in the situation. A dent has already been brought down, and it's 6-9 official coming into the fight as Nightwing has already been brought down to its knee, and the revival is seemingly a very possible chance here, because he's completely on a different side. He was asked to create that flank angle. He has been creating that flank angle in yesterday's game also. He has been the MVP for most of the time for his teammates, but for now it has been completely shut down, as now 6 unofficial can be backstabbed as slowly and steadily. It's Python coming into the frame, but before Python comes in, it's XBROTHERS making a complete charge in, but this charge in will be completely shut down as Void comes in with his play of M416, and he is looking very difficult for the XBROTHERS, because on the backhand side it's Python, and if Python realizes that it's one team that is completely being sandwiched, it can be game end for XBROTHERS.
Well, XBROTHERS certainly tried to jump into this fight really quickly, but eventually the way they did move in along has not favored them. They find themselves in a bit of a sandwich situation, and the butter being applied from the side of Python as well as VNM Legends has not favored. Of course, 6-9 official is the one right now who are going to be taking the onslaught once again to the players of XBROTHERS. And of course, XBROTHERS not only a sandwich, but every single position that we try and see XBROTHERS position from, they are just being brought down to their knees. Faisal losing his life. Right now, we're only looking at King, GG, as well as Sherlock, the only two players from the side of course XBROTHERS who are going to be able to maintain the watchtower for now. But will that be enough? Because again, what we can expect from the circle itself is another shift, and that is going to push these teams out in the open once again. We do know that Python is very close to them. 13th team to get eliminated is going to be TRZRA with 0 points. So one thing that I can see is when it comes down to the kill department, it is 7C Esports who have genuinely dominated this lobby with 6 kills already, and the game is not done. We are still waiting because 12 teams are on the battleground, and with that, VIP's final player Wipeout, so very close right there. The only player from the side of VIP, but was able to bring in quite a lot of damage, and of course, with that being the final player, will not be able to survive as they get jumping into the zone out in the open. Mortem will get the better half of that fight, but the fights are, like I said, gonna get started off right about now. We do see NRZ as well as UnstoppableX with only a one-man squad left in their team, but that also is a position that we can clearly expect to bring in wonderful results, because those one-man armies can very well just single-handedly move all the way into the top 5 as well, permitting the circle allows them to do so.
I mean, indeed, it's a complete chaos in the day 2 game number 1 of Erangel, where the circle has fortunately come into the path and into the area of Milta area, and that means that we are gonna get those see those urban finishes. Unfortunately, they tend to shift away whenever it comes to this area, but for now, it's 7C's again trying to dominate the players and dominate the lobby. It's now 3 players up against single player of NRZ. Will they be able to take down? Yes, they will be able to, but one player gets knocked down. So now revival comes into the case, but still in this circle where we are heading towards the 7th circle, already 23 minutes into the game, we still have 10 teams and 31 players alive. Watching Pajamas just got eliminated a while ago, but it's Python again playing that low-key and slow-paced game, holding the ridge and those edge of the circle, just not trying to overexpose themselves and let other team just fight in its own way and just wait for the moment to come in. On the other hand, it's SLX that completely wiped out bad intention with those grenades, and thanks to VAT69 precise nades onto the body of Purdy. Now it comes down to how SLX tries to make an entry into zone, but a big upset already as VNM Legends gets eliminated, and it's IPG. That means it was not a day of IPG in yesterday's game. Now the players are getting the revival, they will be getting the revival, but the best part is that they have eliminated one big team, and this will be helping them to boost a lot of confidence, and they are also holding at least the center line of the circle, what I can see from the center lines of the map. But on the other hand, now it's time for Python. Losing auto aim was not something Python was looking up to, but now they are trying to decimate the player on the side of 6 official, also onto UnstoppableX as XBROTHERS gets completely eliminated thanks to the onslaught that came in to 6 official. Now Python needs to make an entry, but the way they have hidden themselves around all these areas, that's just commendable.
Well, it most certainly is. Python once again chiming in along with some aggressive stances that they're making all by themselves, looking really, really good, reminiscent of what they did showcase on day number 3. Day number 4 of the quarterfinals itself. For now, we do have an official VP on our screens who is taking a fight against the final player of UnstoppableX, and UnstoppableX will be eliminated, thus leaving us with 6 teams alive, 21 players that are part of this battleground for the moment. Of course, Python is trying to take on quite a lot of fights, but they have been able to bring in knocks as well, but sadly have not been able to confirm them into kills, so they do not have any kills point working in their favor. Mortem have been part of that compound for a really, really long time. Of course, for now, they are wanting to get that revival, but SLX Bat 69 right here with the DP is certainly not going to allow that revival to come in. Along with that, when it comes down to numbers position, it is IPGx that is looking really, really good because they've got all 4 players still alive.
I mean, definitely IPG is looking pretty comfortable in the zone, and they also have the circle, but unfortunately the circle has to go away, and it's 7C that needs to come into the circle with all the 3-4 players alive. On the other hand, IPG is just not waiting. Sunset has just bring one more knock, and IPG, it seems that all of a sudden that they have now learned from all those mistakes that they created in the past in the last game yesterday. But 7C is on the other hand bringing Battery, Rufford and Capshi can be a good thing, but once all the 3 players comes closer towards the fortified area where Mortem are holding right now, they need to be careful that it's Dexter on the left hand side that can create a knock, and 7Cs are still in the smoke cloud and still in that vulnerable position. I'm really not sure if 7Cs will be making an entry into zone. If they make so, they will be creating a complete ruckus, but for that they need to make an entry, and so was not the case. Rafat, as you were just mentioning, Dexter was the player that took him down because he just didn't check the left hand side, and that angle just left untouched. Now Mortem won't be lefting and won't be sparing them. It is just down to how Kapshi will be surviving. Eventually he will also perish, and with this, after securing 8 kills, 7Cs gets eliminated at 6 points. Some placement points will be surely helping them, but now it's down to how rest of the 5 team plays in its own way, and 7Cs gets completely eliminated. Now it's down to how IPG reacts to the onslaught that is seemingly coming in from 6 unofficial. This is a team 6 unofficial. They are completely playing in today's game in a different approach, but the moment I said 2 players have been completely shut down, Thunder 69 goes down, Sleepy 69 goes down, and now it is all up to the solo player that is still surviving. On the other hand, IPG 2 players needs the revival, but Mahfouz is making sure that no grenade, no utilities are coming in, because IPG's Mahfouz knows that in that small warehouse, it's SLX all 4 player aligned. Now it will be a passive sort of gameplay where we can expect maybe the player can go for the revival, but the approach that Dictator and Mahfouz are coming in, it seems that they are in a full mood to charge and eliminate any sort of enemies that are present in the vicinity.
Well, they most certainly are. For now, it is only Sleepy who is going to be taking the onslaught from the 6-man official, and it is going to be IPGx. Even though, I mean, when it came down to the utility usage, it was looking like a fight that could favor 6-man official because their utility was on point. The onslaught they brought against IPG was certainly looking like favoring them, but eventually IPG came together, were able to get all the revivals done for their teammates, and were able to move on with, again, a 4-man squad. So when it comes down to the teams that are remaining, we are looking at 4 teams that are part of this, and SLX and IPGx are the only 2 with a 4-man army. Mortem also looking pretty comfortable as they find that compound working in their favor. But with that, 6-man officials, 1 final player, Sleepy, is going to be sent back into the lobby. 3 teams remaining. Mortem have 2 players alive, 3 players alive, and along with that, when it comes down to SLX and IPG, it is going to be quite an onslaught that could be brought on along. But it is Mortem, even though with the disadvantage of man, they are going to be taking the fight to the face of SLX itself, have been able to knock 2 of the players off SLX. When it comes down to the zone itself, the zone is going to have to push IPG out of the open as well. This is not looking like a fight that could have favored Mortem, but boy oh boy, have they come in together and showcased some perfectly aggressive plans, have resulted in actually taking down the players of SLX, thus resulting in only a 2-team, which is 4 versus 3 situation which we find ourselves in. IPGx going up against Mortem. Both of them do have the safety of the compound, but will that be enough?
I mean, definitely that's the question. Do they have enough of utility? If they have, since you can really bring a lot of dent. But now, since it's the end part of game, we can expect a lot of utilities that have been used in the early stage game. But it seems that IPG is just not waiting before the zone actually pushes them to push upon Mortem. Slowly and steadily, the fight is taking on its own way. Dexter goes down, Zula's forces will go down. Classy will be going down of IPG. Start of the game, they get the chicken dinner in the first game. Day 2 semi-finals. Now IPG are back in action. This was the game that we were expecting from yesterday's day. This was missing sort of all the 5 games, but right off the bat, they said that enough is enough. We are gonna chiming in, we are gonna coming in, and they have announced their introduction in a fashion. 31 total points, 2,423 damage, and straight ranking up to the 6th total point tables out of the total 24 teams that are playing, and a good comeback from the IPG.
Well, it certainly is looking pretty comfortable right now on the 6th spot in the overall ranking. IPGx looking like domination is going to be their gameplay for the day on today. But along with that, 7C also did play their cards really well. They were absolutely ferocious when it came down to the points, as well as they brought on those onslaught towards the other teams in the lobby and were able to walk away with quite a lot of kills for themselves. So 7C off to a good start. VNM Legends tried their level best, but of course forgot a bit off guard when it came down to that rotation into those final circles. But one thing I have to say, when it comes down to Group B and C that are playing today, they are a bit on the low-key stance. I mean, yesterday's games were that much more on point because they were just going on with some aggressive intent from all the sides. This time around, this game ended up being a 30-minute long game. So, of course, there is a bit of a snail-paced approach coming in from these teams. But eventually, again, when it comes down to the MVP, it is going to be Mefuz YT with 8 kills. Boy, oh boy, 8 kills to his name, along with 1 assist, 998 damage that he was able to dish out in the 27 minutes of survival time. Amazing play, of course, for IPG. They have been able to rectify the mistakes and, of course, have started off with a beautiful synergistic performance in the second day of the semi-finals. But we still have 4 games remaining.
Definitely still have 4 games remaining. As just said, we have the Erangel, we have the Miramar, we have the Sanhok in its own course, but Mefuz YT. So now this lad has been actually looked very much promising in the initial days, also in the round of 32 when we just saw them playing, and in today's game also it was him that started chiming in, and he was the one that made IPG believe that yes, we are the same team that dominated the lobby once. Why can't we do it today itself? And here we go, 998 total damage, 8 kills, as you perfectly mentioned. Survival time of complete 27 minutes 15 seconds, and the best part for IPG was they didn't lose on any single player from their side. That means all the 4 players intact. That's something that rarely happens in the last circle. Eventually, you get down to at least 1 or 2 players in the last zone, at least 3 players with which you go down, but the 4 players advantage really paid them off. And here we go, the match summary. Mefuz YT featuring himself in the 2 rank tally, 8 kill, 246 meter longest distance kill, and this is a player that was actually not looking good in yesterday's game. So whenever IPG performs, it has been dictated, it has been sincere, it has been sensate. But is it now the time of Mefuz YT to shine, to outshine other players?
Well, it very well could be the case with the kind of stats that he's been able to create in just the first game of day 2 is looking absolutely ferocious. A Tiger who has just leaped on into the lobby itself with 31 points is what this team walks away with. 16 kills. That is just gigantic. Amazing turnover wins for IPGx, of course. Along with that, when it comes down to Mortem, they played their cards right this time around, and of course have showcased a bit more of a synergistic play compared to what they were in the quarterfinals, and of course will find themselves in the second position with 19 points. But again, when it comes down to the teams, this is looking like a one-sided game, of course, because IPG took so many kills, 16 kills, and the second is, of course, going to be 7C with 8 kills. So just double of what 7C was able to create is what IPGx walked away with. But along with that, when it comes down to the lobby, VNM Legends have not been able to showcase that mark. Same can be said for Bad Intentions as well.
Definitely. So we talked a lot about VNM Legends, Bad Intentions, XBROTHERS, Kings of BD. Eventually pointed out the exact name of these teams before the start of the game. And these were the teams that didn't shine in this game. These were the teams that were not able to get as much of points. On the other hand, it was Mortem, it was SLX, it was IPG that really chimed in. So this is something that really needs to be taken care of once we take out all these names, and we need to make sure that we get those spread approach eventually. At the end of the day, it was IPG that really got the chicken. But with this, we head towards the Oppo F19, where at the start of the game, we just saw some drop clashes getting into its own way. Unstoppable Merciful got some of the kills at the start of the game, but then it was him that was brought down to a single player. DoD was just trying to make a push. He brought some of the players down from the sides of 7Cs, but then he just committed too much, and the ground advantage was just not favoring him. VNM Legends, the way they were being shut down from the sides of Pacific, this was just impeccable, because I was really not expecting VNM Legends to go down this easy. And then it came down to how Bots and Pajamas really struggled to make an entry from the eastern side. I would say struggle, but because they found themselves in a lot of fight on the eastern half of the circle. We just saw them getting themselves in the fight with DRZ in that just the fifth zone of the circle. But those sort of circles really pushes you to go for all these fights. You don't have a lot of options. Then it was Python. So here clearly Python's approach was to find themselves closer and closer towards the chicken, and maybe if the players still survive, they could have gone for. But so was not the case, as IPGs and the 600 official made sure that obviously Python will be taken care of, and they were taking things care of for the rest of the teammates. And then it was all down to Classy. Classy was not able here to show his class. At the end of the day, it was one player from himself, and it was three players, three big names from IPG charging it. It's really very difficult. A chicken going into the name of IPG, and we just saw IPG jumping close to 7 to 8 placement point, and now they are in the top 6, and this is really looking now comfortable at the end of the day, because until 7 to 8 matches you just need one chicken. Even if you are sitting on the second of the chart, one chicken or maybe 6 to 7 kills in a match will be helping you and helping your course and solving you, and you will be finding yourself in the top 8 of the chart.
Well, that certainly can be the case. With that, when it comes down to the teams, VNM Legends still find themselves in the second position, 10 points shy of the first position that DoD Esports have been able to create. So VNM Legends should be able to get those 10 points in today's 4 games that are still remaining. But along with that, as we move on along, the first page for now is looking pretty consistent from the teams of course, Group A and B. But as the game progresses on along, we do see 6-9 official making a stance in the top 16 with only one game that they have been able to play. 5 kills and 8 placement points will result them walking away with 13 total points. So again, a wonderful turnover wins for the side of 6-9 official. But again, as the day progresses on along and we move on to the final page of the overall ranking, we shall see what sort of gameplay these teams are creating for themselves, because only one game is done, 4 games still remaining on day number 2. And of course, I'm hoping to see quite a lot of these teams from the B and C to jump into the second page at least.
I mean, definitely. Straight away, right off the bat, 6 official getting a total 13 points, and they have find themselves now in a good position. It's just the 20 points lead that is the team sitting on the 9th position is having for now. We'll wait to see how it actually happens. Which also had a pretty good game, 8 kills, 400 points, total of 12 points. It's just that the teams on the first chart have played 5 more matches. That's the case that we are getting to see 7C than some other teams on this fourth half of the chart. But teams have done pretty well, apart from Oxygen, that was just not able to secure at least a single point from this match. Oxygen, we saw them taking the fight against Kings of VD in the early stage of the game, and I guess that was the place where they need to realize, and that was their demise, where they just lost 2 players at the start of the game. Then slowly and steadily, when they were trying to move from the eastern side, it was them getting caught trapped to the player that were already into the situation. It was then VNM Legends punishing them very hard, and just because of that, Oxygen were not able to get a point from this match.
Well, again, that's just the start. They're getting warmed up, so to say, right? Again, it was Kings of BD who had a 3-man army and were able to, of course, bring on that onslaught to the players of Auction Esports. But it is okay for now, because literally one game has been played. And of course, they still have 4 games remaining for the day.
Yeah.
With that, we're going to go on a very, very short break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Are you keeping it real? I'm calling shotgun, wanna see my baby run. Oh, what's the word on the sea? Kicking up the dust, if you know what I mean. We got a good thing going. We got a good thing going on.
Hello and welcome to PUBG Mobile National Championship Bangladesh region. All thanks to Oppo F9 Pro. This is the second day of the semi-finals. Off to a wonderful start these teams are.
Yeah.
But will that be enough? Is what the conversation is. For now, of course, Group Number C has only played one game, and as we progress on along today, they will be playing their total 5 games and jumping into the arena. For the moment, it is 6-9 official that have jumped into the top 16. All the others are still maintaining their position in the 16th to the 24th position, but this game around and the next one, I'm hoping a few of them will be able to bring up themselves in the top 8 itself. What do you think, Ankit?
I mean, they just need to. They need to until if they don't, time will really slip out tight because at the end of the day, it's still a longer tournament. We are getting to see 20 matches for each team, but once the lead gets too much, it's really tough. Even you have a lot of match in your own hands, so you need to be prepped up. Some matches can go, you cannot go your way. Every match cannot be in your favor, but still you need to
True.
take care of all these things as the players are trying to take way. And here we go. We will be taking you through course for the second match, second day semifinals. It's from the area of Campo Militar downtown towards the area between Montenegro and Ladrilla, and a completely centralized flight path. But cities like Puerto Parasio is sort of less problematic situation. I'll be really waiting to see how the circle fans out its approach because in yesterday's game we saw some sort of east dominated flight path. But circle tends to went away. Just imagine the circle if it forms towards the area of Chumasera, centering towards that area. Maybe we can get to see the bizarre of a shift because in yesterday's Erangel we saw some notorious gameplay from those circle shift. In today's, maybe it can be Miramar.
Well, it very well could be the case. With that, when you talk about the drop applications themselves, we are looking at out of the bat, Winner Legends taking an early drop and are going to be moving on down towards the Junkyard Impala region, is what we see them go down towards. Along with that is going to be TRZ very close to them, and Al Azhar is where we have TRZ dropping down towards, along with which, of course, it is going to be Venom Legends also choosing the same exact drop itself. So there, that is the place, that is the city rather, that we can very well expect a early contestation to be brought on alongside that. As we move on to the other teams, we are going to be looking at SLX, who are going to be finding themselves in the Hacienda del Patron region. Along with that, the circle is going to move on to create Los Leones City to be the center of the zone for the moment. And along with that, there are still a few teams who are making that rotations and are going to be jumping into the battleground, have not even found themselves into the zone itself, are still kind of floating across the map. And this is, of course, going to be UnstoppableX, Auction Esports, Mortem, as well as, of course, XBROTHERS from the looks of it. And of course, this is an interesting turn of events where all of these teams are going to be trying to get into the proximity of Los Leones itself.
Exactly. The first thing that the team need to find themselves into is the big city of Los Leones. Whoever gets the control of that city, if the circle tends to go into the favor in the same lap into the same city, they can really be benefited with that. But for now, it seems that Venom just because he is having a gun in his own hand, and now it's okay. Insane is also having something in his hand. It's Vector this time, but will he able to take the player down? And he has been spotted down. The player is trying to distract him from the sights of Unstoppable with the help of those punches. And finally, the knock has been brought down onto XBROTHERS. Unstoppable again looking unstoppable in the last game. Also, they were looking pretty much good, but this game of Miramar, the players have already dropped down towards the western side. But will this be a revenge situation? Because Fazal is trying to run out in the open, just trying to take the revenge, but safely he will be pulling himself back. And this is a good decision. You just not don't try to overcome it, as we saw that mistake that was done from the sides of Oxygen in the game of Erangel. Had there been players spotted in the open, he would have definitely took the shot. But since he was quite far away and the player was just trying to loot out the situation, things are looking pretty much stable for now for XBROTHERS. The onslaught was coming in, has come in the favor. But apart from that, they are looking pretty strong. On the other hand, we can already see one more team in the same vicinity as the map rolls down slowly and steadily on the southern side, where on the back side where Faisal is actually looking up to, and that is gonna be of Python. And this is a team I was actually looking up to. So now Python, this is a team that really had a very good rotation. If we talk about that, because they jumped down to the area of military base, the circle went into their own way, but still were not able to get as much of kill, and they were looking to have a very passive gameplay. In this game of Miramar, it certainly is going to be passive gameplay because the nature of the game itself says to be passive in its own way. But on the other hand, the rest of the players are pretty much looting the same spot at the same situation. I also looking for DDs, so this is also a player that has been on the watch list in the quarterfinals when we just saw them playing, and they were looking strong enough to find here in this slot of top 24.
Well, they most certainly were, but with that, when it comes down to the map itself, we can expect quite a crazy game to be played out right here because in the first few minutes itself, we have seen that First Blood has been created, and for so many teams are so close to each other that when it comes down to the fight itself, a lot of expectation is being created when it comes down to these teams. And 7C, having played the first game's cards absolutely to perfection, are of course going to be trying to capitalize on the situation and hopefully will be able to walk away with decent amount of points in this game as well. Once again, consistency is going to be key, and consistency is something that we can expect from the likes of 7C. But for now, of course, they are just busy getting themselves the acclimated loot that is going to work in their favor. But very close to them, of course, is going to be another team, and that is something that could maybe play a bit of a crazy situation for them because after all they are 1100 meters away, 1200 meters away from the center of the zone, and this is the other team that is so very close to 7C. Of course, it is going to be Bad Intentions. Now, Bad Intentions player Winter, this player has dominated in the quarterfinals so many times in so many individual fights, has every single time been the one who creates ruckus for the opponent team, and this time around it could very well be the case if 7C are not careful when they make that rotation.
I mean, indeed, we can really get to see some fight because Bad Intention is a team, as you perfectly mentioned, especially Winter. He really doesn't shy away to take any fight. And if 7C's player gets spotted, this can be a situation where we get to see a close range fight as a player are already very close in the proximity. But I guess 7C's players are not are unaware of this fact that there is one more big team in the same vicinity. The last game of Erangel, Bad Intention really didn't have a good run because it was an onslaught that came in from the sides of IPG and they were taken down. But I guess once they are in this game of Miramar, I really have a very high hopes from the sides of Bad Intention because this is a team that has really impressed me, especially the lad from their side, and that was Winter. He has an absolute carnage of a gameplay. Talk about his aim. Talk about his onslaught that he brings in with the machine that he has in his hand. He has been an absolute ruckus that he creates on the rest of the teammates. On the other hand, we talk about and we go to the city of Manas where we can already see Bots in Pajamas. The player have realized that it's Oxygen ES that they are now charging in. Oxygen really need to put the best feet forward. But the way they are trying to aggress, it seems that it's a scatter sort of approach. They don't have a lot of loot. Eventually, Goblin doesn't even have a backpack. This is a guy that also was pretty much poor in sort of loot in the last game. Also, in this 6 minute or 7 minute or so, he still doesn't have any sort of backpack. Just have that first level helmet, has sort of gun, but that wouldn't be solving the case. And here we go, one more knock onto Oxygen, a fight that is separated between close to long to semi-long distance. The fight is elongated, can be elongated, but if Boston Pajamas brings one more knock, maybe they can go for the charge in approach. But still, it's the early stage of the game. We may expect to see the fight getting elongated, but Oxygen needs to realize that they really cannot afford to lose on this game too.
Well, they most certainly better not lose that game, of course, is what my conversation would be. But alongside that, when it comes down to the play itself, Oxygen Sports has been one of those teams that has not shied away from fights, but also have not really been able to convert the fights into their own favor as well. As we clearly do see right now, they are going to be taking a fight and are going to be pushing on to the players of course, NRZ. Now, NRZ are better equipped when it comes down to the skill itself, but will that be enough to take the onslaught? Because after all, Oxygen Esports do want those points and are going to be very determined to take on this slot. And of course, the positioning, the way they are planning themselves out, should favor Oxygen Esports if they play it right. NRZ, the only cover that they have is going to be off that vehicle and the smoke wall that they are creating. They do understand that it's not going to be an easy fight. They are going to be a three-man squad, going to be splitting themselves out, and of course, that is something that is going to be so very crucial for the side of NRZ to be able to do so. They cannot run away from the situation because there's nowhere to be to run. The only thing is to take on the fight, but how exactly will that be fanned out? Of course, right now we do see the side of Oxygen Esports getting themselves on towards just this lift angle and flanking and trying to create that sort of a X cross against this players of NRZ, and the smoke wall that NRZ had created has helped them for the moment. Sazad OP still sticking to very close to the vehicle itself as his cover along with the smoke, But eventually, again, when it comes down to the way Oxygen Sports could have taken this fight, it's not looking like they're in control. Honestly, I mean, NRZ played their cards absolutely to perfection, moved away from the situation, and have, due to the smoke, not even let any player of Oxygen Sports know that where exactly the team of NRZ has moved on towards. And along with that, now this team is going to be taking a fight and bringing the onslaught to the players of Oxygen Sports as well. One player that did have a bit of a flank angle and advantage would have been Scissor, but Scissor has been caught off guard as well as Sazadopi just pushes on along. One player has been knocked, another one that is going to probably not have a decent amount of fight, but it's going to be Amit right here onto the back angles. Goblin has already been knocked and kill confirmed. This is not looking good for Oxygen Esports. Again, like I was saying, I mean, Oxygen Esports, they do need to have a bit more of a synergistic play. They do need to understand the game a bit better. Otherwise, these sort of fights, I mean, if you were in the advantageous position, have now had to scurry away. And NRC playing every single moment into their favor, have been able to keep all 4 members alive and walk away with the kill. So beautifully done for NRZ, but sad state of affair for Oxygen Esports.
Definitely sad state of fear, but meticulous gameplay coming in from the sides of NRC, as just they were not only able to secure 2 kills, but also will be walking away with the rotation, and they made sure that it will be Oxygen that will be falling back. And bring one more thing into this point, that it's still Leviathan that was away. That means it was a 3v4 fight that could have gone against NRZ, but they know how to fight against the odd. They just were 3 men and they were not aware of the surrounding. It was Oxygen that it was NRZ that came at that position. It was Oxygen that was holding the ridge for long, and they also had a height advantage. But Oxygen just really didn't look any sort of good touch in all these fights. They didn't have any sort of plan how they are going to be approaching, which player will be going for the flank angle, which player will be giving that reinforcement when it is actually needed. And you really need to have these sort of thing if you are challenging players and the teams in this lobby, because at the end of the day, this is national championship. This is not a joke. This is the player where this is the place where teams are made, where names are made, and you get the best of the best fight among yourself. And talking about that, we get to see 7 Seas against to Mortem. In the last game, it was Mortem that punished 7 Seas, but this time it seems that Fortune has something else to tell to us. Mortem we're trying to onslaught the players, but unfortunately, the one player has already been knocked out. It's now Kapchi and Butter and Proper charging in onto the onto the small house, and Classy goes down. And now it comes down to how the single player that is on the first floor will be holding this fight on its own course. Trust me, this is not also gonna be easy. On the other hand, Evil Eye is making sure that 046 won't be stepping away from the compound that is holding for now. But here we go, 3 players now charging on to 4046, and this can be a terrible, dreadful situation where we can get to see complete wipeout.
Well, we could very well see a complete wipeout coming in from the side of 7 against Mortem. Will they be enough to retaliate? No, they will not. It is not looking too good for them. 2 players have already been killed. One has been knocked, and only 1 man remaining from the side of Mortem. Will he be able to do? Well, never mind what he will be able to do. All he can do is run away from the situation. Of course, 3 team members have already been lost. 16 teams are still alive 30 minutes into the game. Boy, oh boy, not looking good for the side of Mortem. But eventually, again, as I was saying in the previous pre-game segment as well, that hopefully they will be able to bring themselves together as far as the lobby is concerned. Not looking like they're up to mark to sustain this kind of aggressive stance, and especially when it's 7C that you're trying to go up against. It is not a easy team to take a fight on. Again, with that, when it comes down to the circle has pushed on, and 7C find themselves dead smack in the center of the zone itself, which is going to be working in their favor. But alongside that, they are going to have to be really, really careful as they play. They are going to have to keep in mind that, of course, all the other teams, the 12 remaining teams, are also going to be jumping. Oh, my apologies, 16 teams are also going to be jumping into the zone itself, and that much area is not going to be enough for 16 teams to live in kumbaya sort of a situation. And that is something that, of course, all the teams do realize, and that is something that Miramar does end up doing every single time pretty much. I mean, either you have a very aggressive stance and start to the game, or you have a slow, low-key approach, and that is what we're looking at from Group B and C. Every single game. The first game ended up being 30-minute long. This game, we're already 14 minutes in. 16 teams were alive right now. We just saw Opportunity is the first to be eliminated, and finally, in the 15-minute marker, we can see some action being brought on along. But eventually, again, I do have to admit, Group B and C are playing really, really slow.
I mean, indeed, that was the case. That was really preempting to happen, and this is certainly the case. And there's nothing bad about that because eventually, at the end of the day, you get to see Miramar on a slow started approach. But on the other hand, we get to see, and we had seen some fast matches that happened between Group A and Group B when they came into action. So this is also a fight that has been happening for last 1 minute or so. But till now, none of the teams from any other side have successfully brought any player down onto the lane. It's a 6-9 official again going against TRZ. TRZ didn't have a very good run in the last match, but now they are looking pretty strong to take the fight in its own hand. But they need to be careful that 600 official can be sandwiched in the situation because from the backhand side, it's SLX that is slowly and steadily coming in. And once they get control of that elevated ridge that is between them and TRZ, SLX can really have a good chance. On the other hand, from the backhand side, there's a lot of sandwich-like situation because bad intentions have clearly got the cover of that ridge, but no, Sabir realizing the fact he was completely ready for that, and Sabir was the one that was deployed to check the back angles. This is a very good approach. This is something that we talk about, and this is the synergistic gameplay that we need to see, we want to see, and this is what TRZ is are at its best. Sabir taking the first knock and really got the time where he will letting Sabir to also get the flank angle. Sabir is the one that flanks for them, that actually takes the opponent's knock, but he needs to be careful that it's bad intention and Winter won't be shut down because he shuts one more player down on the sides of TRZ. On the other hand, we can get to see NRZ also indulging themselves into a fight with IPG, and I guess that fight might be erupting onto the southern hand side of this map. On the other hand, some vehicle mishaps are also happening, bad intentions. Winter again being knocked down, the player needs to get the revival. On the other hand, they also need to make a 424-meter rotation, and this is not going to be easy. 400-meter of rotation, especially on the map of Miramar, the terrain actually doesn't allow you to go for the safe approach. And bringing one more fact to the point is that there are still 15 players alive, so this is not going to be easy. As soon as you go and try to take cover of any ridge or any compound, you will be getting contested by other teams that have their eye upon onto the same place.
Well, that is certainly true, and with that, it is going to be bad intentions making a rotation towards the zone itself. It is the fifth zone that will be cut in a few moments, and right now, of course, when it comes down to the zone itself, so many of the teams are going to be finding themselves in a really comfortable spot. Onto our screens, of course, we do see Python try and take on a fight against the players of BIP, but eventually Wipeout has been eliminated. He was able to get one kill confirmed for himself, but that was it. On the other tangent, when it comes down to Sub-Zero's approach, and Python have also been able to dish out that damage against the players of BIP, and Bebo, of course, not looking too good. Wipeout has already been confirmed killed, so VIP altogether not in control of this fight. Another team to talk about is certainly going to be VNM Legends. Now, VNM Legends has not really been seen quite a lot in the first game as well as in the second one, but now finally they're chiming in and bringing in the aggressive stance. They are taking on the players of course BIT as they made that rotation, and now wanting to take on a long approach. But 6-9 official is going to retaliate, will be able to bring down Steel Shot, but of course Steel Shot should hopefully be able to get the revival as his teammates are very close.
I mean, definitely the revival comes into the picture because the players were pretty much close towards them, but bad intentions have already been lost in all these fights. We were trying to make a rotation because Venom Legends are making it pay for them. On the other hand, bad intentions and Venom Legends, both these teams have their concentration set upon one team, and that is going to be of 6-9 of Vision, and both of the teams are making it really difficult for them. But on the other hand, Bots in Pajama, the team that really had a very good match in the last game, becomes a 15 team to get eliminated. So a lot of teams are starting to getting eliminated once the circle has just won for those shift. On the other hand, 6 official, they are on the edge of the circle. Some players have made a rotation into the central lines, as we can see from the mini map, but they are certainly not looking good. On the other hand, Stalker is making sure that he is going for the flank angle, and he's just trying to backstab the player from the sides of 6 official. As a bad intention didn't really have any other chance, because had that been on the same place, it was Venom Legends punishing them. So they really took a good decision to take a fight against 6-9 official, and this is something that can really pay off. But I really want to see where is the second player, the second player surviving. That is going to be Winter, because I can not see in the same proximity in the minimap. We can get to see he's close towards each other, but I would really want to see a synergistic sort of gameplay. Then it would be an easy sort of affair for them to eliminate if they go for an elimination elimination onto the players of 6 unofficial, and it's Ferdinand and Stalker still surviving. 6 unofficial 3-1 split. Zombie is closer towards the player where Venom Legends are still alive, but the way Stalker is moving, he needs to be careful because he can receive a heavy amount of cover fire from the left hand side. But Thunder 69 with that M24 shot shuts down one more player through the sides of Venom Legends, and he is looking pretty decent for now.
Well, he most certainly is with that 11 teams remaining, and this is DoD going on to get eliminated on the 12th spot. Absolutely not the kind of expectation that DoD had for themselves, but that is the case that has turned out to be. As we move on along, this has turned into quite an aggressive stance that Venom Legends and 6ix9ine Official are making against each other, as they were taking on that fight. With 6ix9ine Official were able to bring down Steel Shot eventually, and now, of course, as they push on along, Venom Legends will find themselves in a bit of a precarious situation as they are not in the zone. They're going to have to push away, but they have taken fights not only with 6ix9ine Official but with bad intentions as well. That is going to put them in a bit of a tricky position as they make that rotation. They've got only one kill confirmed for now. Talking about kills department itself, it is 7C Esports that are looking really good, as we can clearly see 6 kills have been confirmed for them. All 4 players are still alive. Same can be said for, of course, NRZ as well. And when it comes to the team that is on our screen, which is going to be 6ix9ine Official, well, they are trying to take on fights wherever they can, but they are not in the zone itself. Venom Legends find themselves in the zone. Void has been brought on down. This is not looking good for Venom Legends as they take on fights. The earlier strategy that they applied, a 2-man split and trying to take 2 teams all together one by one, is not working out. But look out here. We have Dictator from IPG, Mortem's on Trump all by himself, right next to each other, but he is not giving that obvious whatsoever at all. And this has turned into quite a stance that On Trump could very well be able to create, but now he will not be able to walk away with the kill. Sadly, he was able to get the knock confirmed, but no kill has been given to him as Kings were on point.
The vehicle bus also took him down. He was eventually able to take one player down, but sadly it was his demise. Now it comes down to how 6ix9ine Official is going to retaliate. And Sharp is still surviving, taking 1.5. Takes Steel Shot again down, and it gets the kill confirmed. Steel Shot today's game, in this game of Miramar, I guess it's the second or third time he just got knocked down. Constantly he has been knocked down, and we can already see Nightwing without any helmet. A lot of shots also onto the head of Void. So this sort of gameplay where Venom Legends go for those split approach in this game of Miramar, till now it hasn't actually paid off because they have already lost a lot of shield, a lot of helmet, and this is something that they would really bang their head up on their walls that why were they in sort of that open situation. Maybe they can have some good affair in the rest part of the game, but till now they really need those helmets and those shields, because without that you will be faltering yourself down in all these fights. Slowly and steadily just waiting. Void just brought on 1 HP, tries to bring him down. Battlegrounds, if this grenade connects, it can be a really precarious situation, as 7C's players are really gatekeeping this situation. From the minimap, we can already see 2 players are in a split, where 2 players are on the central line of the circle until and unless they were, but the circle has gone away from them. Now it's a fight between Badrev and Kapshi together against Void and one more player from the sides of Venom Legends. A lot of time is being utilized, and grenades and molotovs are being utilized, but still with no success. Kapshi could have brought down Void to his knees, but that Coop RV actually saved him because he took cover onto him. Some low toss grenades and some low toss stunts are being used, but still it seems that the knock is still pretty much away. Void just received that 26 of damage from the grenade, but still it's Kapshi with the machine in his hand. Now he takes him down. Now he takes him down, and he now finds himself his attention away from him, and this is the time where Nightwing will be really having a very tough time, because he is close towards the blue and he needs to deal with 2 things. One, the blue, and second, the onslaught that is coming in from the side of 7Cs.
Well, 7C certainly are looking in control of this contestation, of course, and as they push out along to the players of Venom Legends right now, they are going to be in a bit of a precarious situation is what they will find themselves in, as they have taken a fight long on towards the players of IPGx and also close, which is going to be, of course, the players of Venom Legends. So, interesting affair is what we can see for the side of 7C. Of course, all 4 players are alive for the moment, but for how long is the conversation, because Venom Legends have been able to get the counter positioning for themselves and now will be bringing in the nade trade, but it is going to be Rafet who will bring down Void from one department. On the other tangent, Kapshi is going to be bringing in another wonderful played spray and is going to be bringing down Frypan as well, thus leaving VNM Legends with only one-man army. That's going to be Nightwing. For how long is Nightwing going to be bringing that onslaught, or rather retain that onslaught coming in from the side of 7C? Well, not for long is the answer, because after all, VNM Legends have been eliminated, thus leaving us with only 3 teams remaining. We've got NRZ with 3-man army. It is, of course, going to be IPG Dictator, who is so close and is going to be retaliating with perfectly set up nade, and we're going to be pushing on because he is not yet done. He's going to be bringing down another 2 players as well. Amazing spray control coming in from the side of Dictator. This has resulted in, of course, the team of NRZ left with only a 1-man squad. What an amazing turn of events this has turned out to be for the side of course, IPG, and this now results in IPGx Dictator being the solo man surviving for his side. Kapshi's team, which is of course going to be 7C, is looking pretty wonderful, but will that rotation be allowed? Of course, Dictator says no. He will bring the spray down, will not be able to confirm the kill, but of course, Padrev is so very low that yep, the kill will be confirmed. 4 kills already to the side of the team of IPG's Dictator. Amazing play, and this is going to be an onslaught that no team expected, especially from the side of IPGx.
Dictator is completely decimating the lobby and dictating the lobby. That's what I have to say, because he brought 3 players down from the sides of NRZ, and that's just because of that we get to see 4 kills. Eventually, it was 1 more kill from the sides of 7C that he just secured, and now it all down to how 7C is rougher than Kapshi survives this onslaught that is coming in. 7Cs do still have a lot of men advantage if we have to talk about that, because it's just IPG Dictator that's still surviving, and NRZ player that's still on the backhand side, and now it is all down to 1v3v1 affair. Zone is still in its favor, I would say, because it's just a 9-meter, but once he goes away from this artificial cover that he has created, then he will be spotted down. But I guess he has those sort of first aid that he will be using, and once the circle forces him, then he will be trying to go out, but will letting him to survive him for long as he tries to pull himself back and then tries to propel the grenade. On the other hand, it's NRZ Sajitopi that is still surviving. So now what all NRZ and IPG Dictator can do is to the continuous onslaught that can come in, and that can lead to the demise of 7Cs. But no, Dictator takes one more knock, brings Dictator with the lot of kill into its own hand. Now it's all down to 3 players charging in. This is not going to be a tough, easy situation. This is going to be a really predicament which IPG Dictator really needs to come off from this. IPG doesn't realize the situation, but Dictator finishes things off for himself with that grenade and says no for that kill. And with this, it is again 7C's Esports going for that chicken. In the last match, they were just shying away from that chicken. They were very close towards the chicken, but they didn't get. But this time, when they came in the game of Miramar, they made it sure that they will be getting that important total 15 points and also 14 kills, a total of 2,453 damage, and that brings straight on to the first half of the chart. 8th position is where they are at right now. Good game for 7C's Esports, but what a gameplay. What a mesmeric gameplay coming in from the sides of IPG's Dictator. I'm becoming literally a fan of this guy.
Well, again, I mean, Dictator, just amazing, miraculous plays is what he was able to bring in those final few moments of that game. But yep, 7C Esports is the team that is going to be finding themselves in the top 8 position. So a wonderful turn of events with 14 kills. This team was dominating. VNM Legends were nowhere close. The kind of play that they had was not working for them. But along with that, of course, the MVP has to be Dictator right here. He dictated the entire final circle. The way he was in control of the contestation, of those fights, of those beautiful rotations that were being shown from the side of 7C. This guy was the man of the hour for that moment. And along with that, of course, getting the MVP with 5 kills to his name. 971 damage dished out, and along with that, he did not give his kill away. He rather chose to be a martyr for his side and did not give the kill to 7C. So I mean, he just dictated the entire fight from the start till the finish.
Definitely, he dictated not only how he will be taking the fight, but he also dictated how he will be finishing things off. He just didn't want other players to get their lead inside his body. Rather, he would be himself finding his own coffin and try to bury in its own way. And that's what Dictator is known. And there we go, 7C's players also featuring in that top MVP list. Match summary already on its way, where we get to see a lot of 7C's players. It's Evilai with that highest kill, Leviathan with 300-meter longest distance kill. And RZ's player are also featuring its Saji that used most brutally in this match 14. This man really find himself in a very good point. And RZ also had some very decent fight. We'll get to see how many points NRZ did secure, but that was a decent match for also NRZ. On the other hand, Venom Legends Steel Shot was there in that maximum assist list, and the match ranking on its way as Venom Legends, as we were just talking about, 13 kill, I guess that's a decent one.
Well, most certainly is. With that, of course, 14 kill going down towards 7C Esports, 13 kill going down towards NRZ Esports. Venom Legends once again trying to chime in along on the 4th position is what they find themselves with 5 kills and 8 placement points. So 13 in total is what they walk away with. But boy, oh boy, I mean, this was a game that was certainly favoring IPGx's Dictator. I mean, he just completely from nowhere came into the final few moments of the fight, and the leaderboard we do see teams that we would not want to see, which is of course going to be the likes of Bad Intentions right here on the 14th position with only 1 placement point and no kill whatsoever for them. Along with that, of course, is going to be TRZRA, another team that we did talk about when the day started off. That team has been phenomenal on day 1, but on day 2, TRZRA is yet to find a foothold. Hopefully that'll be the case in the next 3 games, but 2 games done, it is certainly looking like, again, when it comes to consistency, 7C Esports are very, very consistent. And along with this, the first team to get eliminated was Oxen Official right here, which we see in the 0.9 intro moments. They were just not playing it synergistically. The way they tried to bring that onslaught was just not on point, and of course TRZ had to get the better half of that fight.
I mean, definitely, TRZ were looking pretty decent till now, and they actually took the fight in its own hand. But then it came down to how Python was actually punishing the players of Ox, Bots in Pyjamas, and Bots in Pyjamas also really didn't have a very good affair in this match. And then it was Steel Shot trying to dominate the lobby, but we just saw a lot of headshots that got connected onto the heads of Venom Legends, and there they just lost the way, because even if you find yourself in that last circle, if you got so much of knock in the early stage of the game, there's something that gets away from you, and that's the confidence that you lack at in that particular match. And from there, it was really difficult for the Venom Legends. Eventually, they find themselves very close to Pubg. They made that rotation because 7Cs really gave those opportunity to them, I would say, because at one point of time, I guess it was easy for Pubg to take the players down. Had there been one more player, it would have been earlier game end for Venom Legends, but they really gave that second opportunity, but Venom Legends was just not able to capitalize onto that, and then it was all Dictator show from 23 minutes to the last minute, and that was to the 25 or 26th minute of this game. And eventually he was the player that decided how he is gonna die, not the rest of the player that would decide his fate. And that's how Dictator rose on for you. With this, we head towards the match ranking post game 6. It's Venom Legends after 2 more games tops the list with just 3 points away from A1 Esports. But I'll be interested to see how the rest of the 3 games for Venom Legends will go on. Also, IPG back-to-back good performance, and they have been recorded with the 3rd position with total of 65 points. TRZ slipping down a bit, TRZ are also slipping down a bit. The rest of the teams from this placement points remains the same.
Well, they certainly do. I mean, all now, of course, it is 69 official that has been put back onto the second page, but on the first page, we do see 7C Esports' 2 consistent gameplay have resulted in them getting 41 points. Just 2 games, 41 points. If they bring in that sort of an onslaught, they could very well take over the likes of A1 Esports and others because of their consistency. But along with that, as we move on along, we do see the second page. For now, it is NRZ Esports who have moved on to the second page with 2 games that they have played. 27 points in total is what they have been able to create. 3 games are still remaining. So amazing turn of events for these 2 teams from Group C.
I mean, look at the number of kills that NRZ Esports secured. We really need to talk about the way NRZ are taking its fight, and I guess it is going to be a very long day, and they will be eventually, I guess, maybe jumping in on the first half of the chart if they try to continue with the same momentum and the run that they are playing for now. Just the 2 matches, total of 27 total points, but look at the kill numbers. That's 16. That defines the team is not shying away from this kill points. And in this sort of lobby, we have seen the team who tries to dominate and even if they have good synergistic gameplay between their teammates, and if they're coordinating well, they will be able to wipe out the team, and that has certainly reaped out in the favor of NRZ. On the other hand, Python TZ also had a very good game in this match, and they are not a team that really depend upon the total kills, but placement point is something that is helping them to shoot up their number. But Oxygen ES, again, back-to-back failure in 2 matches, still not able to get even close to and open their bank account, just sitting at 0 points. I guess in the next match, when they come and step in the game of Erangel, it will be a settler for them, and they will be performing it with the bang.
True. I mean, DoD again, the same kind of affair is what I would say. I mean, DoD have played and have been playing, but somehow along the line they've not been able to utilize the opportunities given to them. Hopefully, in the next three remaining games, they will be able to do so. But boy, oh boy, it is looking pretty tough because again, the competition is so very fierce. With that, two games are done. 3 games remaining. We're going to go on a short little break before we jump into match number 3. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Are you keeping it real? I'm calling shotgun, wanna see my baby run. Oh, what's the word on the sea? Kicking up the dust, if you know what I mean. We got a good thing going. We got a good thing going on.
Hello and welcome to PUBG Mobile. Bangladesh National Championship is where we are at, and in that, it is all thanks to Oppo F9 Pro. But talking about the National Championship itself, we have moved on from stage 1 to stage 2, simply put, from quarterfinals into the semifinals.
Yeah.
Now, 24 teams are participating. Earlier, there were 32, and from these 24, only top 16 will move on forth to be a part of the $30,000 prize pool. There's just day number 2, where Group B and C are dominating and performing, but in that, we have to say, I mean, 7 seeds consistency is just completely decimating the lobby again and again. Even though Venom Legends are part of the lobby as well, it is just not able to kind of bring up the play that Venom Legends is showcasing. So amazing 7 seeds play working out for them. But with that, Ankit, now as the day progresses on along, what team would you want to see to rise up from the ashes, dude?
I mean, I really wanted IPG to started performing. They have already started performing. Last two game, one top finish, one second finish. I'm already done with the way IPG. But do they have extra anything in their bag to showcase? Maybe just try to overpower in the game because now IPG are in the safe end where they can experiment. I would say for at
Right.
least one of the game for the rest of the three games that they have. But I would really
True.
don't expect that they would be experimenting because at the end of the day, the lobby gets trickier and trickier. But as you just asked me about the rest of the team that will be getting to chime in. I really want Oxygen ES because they were a team that
True.
really was really looking promising in the center line in the stage of quarterfinals. But here, nothing is actually working for them. Even if they are going for the aggressive approach, we just saw in the game of Erangel, the first game, they tried to challenge the players of DoD, they were shut down. In the last game, which we saw where they were on the passive side of the fight, where they should have been on the active side, they should have actively participated in the fight. They were on the passive side and they were shut down again. And then it was just two players. And so in the early stage of the game, Oxygen just need to realize that they are losing a lot of player, and that is leading to their demise. And just because of that, they are still on that zero mark. I just want them to let a go. Just forget about what happened in the last two games. Plate is still zero for them. It's still empty. They need to fill with some points, some kills, and maybe we can get to see somewhere at the eighth or seventh position at the end of the day if they try to do.
Well. Another team that I do want to see rise up from the ashes is certainly going to be Bad Intentions, right? So
Yeah,
during the
exactly.
quarterfinals, Bad Intentions played really well and they were genuinely dominating in the games that they were a part of. But this time around, I mean, this is of course the first day that they are playing. This is not looking too good. Only 2 games that they have played have not been in their favor. But hopefully, as the day progresses along, hopefully they find their momentum. But alongside that, talking about early contestations on this map, we are going to be looking at 7C once again, going down towards the military base itself, towards Lower Deploy is where we do see them, but very close to them is going to be
Yes, sir.
one player from Mortem, and On Trump is going to be right next to them again. Mortem is another team that has been playing, but not consistently. And this team needs to up their game if they want to be part of the top 16. This sort of a play where one player is all by himself on the military island, whereas the other two, three players are finding themselves still not close and absolutely in a different situation itself. That's not the kind of play that we want to be able to see. But with that, it seems DoD are the ones who have found themselves part of the first kill itself, and it is none other than
Oxygen.
Oxygen Esports that has taken the onslaught.
I was just curious to see because the moment it was all turning in, we were getting to see every team getting towards their favorite drop location. But my vibe was completely set upon where Oxygen is now getting and where now TOD is getting towards. Now it's the hospital area and the main compound where Oxygen are again challenging DOD, or maybe vice versa, we can say. Because in the last game, DOD had a different drop location altogether. Oxygen was completely decimated, had no other idea what sort of reply they would give, and again they have faltered down. In the same game of Erangel, now both team go head on head. It's again a DOD getting one opening knock against Oxygen. The rest of the fight, Oxygen needs to deal with just the three players and taking one thing into the point into its whole action that some of the players from DOD do have that machine gun M249 in its own hand, and that can be really detrimental because we get to see that the amount of fire, the amount of burst that brings in that sound eventually it really it frightens the enemy, and a lot of chaos can be created at the mine. And at that point, uh, Oxygen, it's getting trickier and trickier for them, and they really need to find themselves away from this fight. And what's the way? You just need to shut down the players of DoD. Don't mind one of the players has gone down, but still three of the players are alive. At any one point, you can do 3 to 4 because at the end of the day, you are just here to shine yourself, and you have done something great. You have done something really beautiful, and just because of that, you have been allotted this top 24. So just trust the process, trust the instincts, and then you will get to see some more better fights. But for now, it seems that Oxygen's the players have aligned themselves. A crosshair has been set up, and now is the time that Igniter could have been one knock, but really falters down. That knock was really very important because now it comes down to how rest of the two players strikes. Had just there been one more knock on the side of Oxygen, things would have been different. But it's now down to how Caesar reacts. Caesar attacks one more down. Knock is the need of the situation. He is taking fight in its own hand, but he is the sole man surviving. On the other hand, DoD, the player, if they get the revival, players from sides of Oxygen needs to realize that the players from POD are getting the revival, and so is not the case for Oxygen. And if that happens, it can be really a game end situation. So again, one thing that Oxygen is lacking with is the raw information that they should have collected from the knock player that is very close towards the players that are getting the revival from the sides of DoD.
Well, indeed, that is the case. But hopefully, Oxygen are going to be able to walk away from the situation. But from the gameplay that they are showcasing, it is not looking like an easy task. DoD, on the other hand, are certainly very much in control of this contestation. Scissor was able to bring in some amazing plays and was able to almost eliminate the threat, but did not eventually push on along with that sort of an agenda. And of course, now it is going to be DoD who have given themselves the perfect opportunity to be able to get that revival, and now will try and push on along once again. A four-man squad is what we see, so it is not looking too good and easy for the side of Oxygen Esports. They had their chance, they had that opportunity, but it has genuinely just rushed away from them.
This is now getting trickier and trickier for Oxygen. Player has been knocked down. Now it all comes down to how Caesar reacts. One thing is for sure that if he falls away from the situation, if he tries to retreat, uh, he can be saved. But there is no other option than to take a fight because he doesn't even have 100% health. He doesn't even have the best of the best gun you can have in this game of Erangel. All suddenly he will be taken down also. So this is a sad demise. I'm really feeling very bad for Oxygen because again in the three game I was really expecting them to shine themselves, but still it's two game for them. The hopes are still alive. It's Sanhok and then Erangel. Maybe in the next Sanhok, maybe the next Erangel. But one thing is for sure that they won't be taking at least 1 point. That means even at the end of the three game, they're still sitting on the zero position. What do you have to say,
Well,
brother?
again, I mean, all I have to say is that I want to thank Oxygen Esports, honestly, because the group BNC, I've been saying it again and again, are playing really slow games, but it is
Okay.
Oxygen Esports that is really bringing up the masala in the game, so to say, right? And that is something that is important because we want to be able to enjoy the games as well. We do not want to
Exactly.
be sitting there waiting for the first 10 minutes to not be a part of any fight itself, because that is how Group B and C are approaching. But Oxygen Esports says no to that and jumps in along. No matter what situation they find themselves in, no matter what team they find themselves against, they will take a fight. And that turns out to be, well, entertainment for me at least, even though there are so many things that Oxygen needs to do right and learn from them. From their mistakes, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that hopefully they'll be able to do it. Even if not, they are being entertaining, and for that, I have to thank them.
I mean, indeed, there's always the two side of a coin. One has been that mediocre gameplay. Second part is the entertaining that they always brings in. And I guess all the viewers that have really chimed in, including me and you, have had all those entertainments for now. But talking and bringing conversation away, we got to see NRZ Esports completely jam packed into the area of Katka, where they are trying to loot down the areas. And apart from that fight, rest of the players, rest of the teammates, and from that in this lobby are just trying to move here and there with those approach going in and out. But I would really want to see the observers to let us see where the circle has actually formed, because at the start of the game we just headed towards the fight that was actually happening into the area of hospital and the Georgia Bull area, but still we don't have a slightest of the idea. If you have Lord, just let me guide through where the circle could you expect to be in. Eventually, it is in the area of Gatka, but is it a centralized? Is it a western shift or centralized shift? Let's still wait for that.
Well, we shall see what sort of a game will the circle be bringing to these teams with that. The first airdrop being dropped on, and this is going to be wonderful because this might just be when it comes to the bridge itself, it might be on top of the bridge from the looks of it, and it no, it is right next to it. So that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect because this is going to be crucial when it comes down to the first airdrop. When it comes to the rotation itself, these teams are going to be able to utilize that and are certainly going to be able to capitalize on that. Well, not only level three, but also the org that is part of the drop. But with that, when it comes down to the late rotations, we are looking at SLX making a late rotation. We are looking at 7C making a late rotation. And as they try and get into the zone, it is going to get a bit of a tricky affair for the side of 7C because most of the times we do see them stick around to the edges of the main island itself as they make that rotation. But this time around, if they do so, we could very well see this team falter down because there is going to be bad intentions as well as, of course, 6-9 official who might just be able to stop them in their tracks. Bad intentions are making their own rotation away from the zone to try and get into the zone from another angle, which is probably going to be the southern, southeastern shift that they are planning and hoping to get in through. But with that, talking about the fights, talking about the zones themselves, we are looking at, of course, hospital area once again, where DoD and IPG seem to be in a bit of a stalemate situation. Of course, DoD is in a compound of their own, but of course, IPG is going to be out in the open. AJ from DoD is going to be creating the flank angle. As of now, IPG no, they have actually spotted him. They have most certainly spotted him, and this is not looking too good for the side of DoD as they will be making a run away from that situation. And IPG will probably not be able to get any kills confirmed for the moment. So, decent play coming in from the side of DoD. Of course, they're trying to outplay the competition and survive for as long as possible. Because after all, when it comes down to DoD, they have been playing the games yesterday as well as today, I guess. But eventually, when it comes down to the points themselves, they have not really been able to collect that many. So right now, maybe their strategy is to go towards those placement points rather than the kill department. And well, that seems to be working for them at least for the moment.
I mean, definitely they really need to think about themselves, be it with the kill points, be it with the placement. But for now, IPG is on a charging approach because IPG really had a very back-to-back good game into its own way. And we were talking about one thing that once IPG realizes and are in the groove, they just don't wait for it. And we can already see IPG just going for the charging approach. Two players are already brought down to its knee. Mahfouz going in with that kill, M249 in its action into its hand, and they are just looking unstoppable. Already one kill getting secured. Sunset and players are very close towards each other. Dictator holding the compound. Does Stormser has a slightest of the idea that one player has got the cover, but look at the way Dictator has created that flank angle. Some players from DoD were close to where Sincere is hiding for now, and he's actually not hiding. He's holding the bridge for now just to get the information passed on. If DoD tries to create that flank angle from the left side of that compound, and just because of that, Dictator is on the flank hand side. But Mahfouz needs to realize that they are taking the team advantage. Mahfouz goes down. He did that rookie mistake, and at this level, you don't get to see a grenade was very close towards Sincere. Had that been more quick, had that been 1 more second late, Sincere could have been knocked down. But Sincere creates one more kill, one more knock, and this is looking pretty tough for DoD AG. AG barely surviving. He'll be taken down. Sunset makes a charge in approach. 5 kills already. With 5 kills, DoD gets eliminated. But in all these fights, IPG loses one player, and that could actually dent them. Things could have been really different, but Mahfouz was just careless. Didn't check that player could have been taking that TPP advantage. I guess it was onto Dictator that didn't give that info that the player was actually taking the TPP advantage, on which Mahfouz was really relying upon, and just because of that, it was his demise. But on the other hand, we can get to see some real rotation coming in. Bad intention again in this game of Erangel. They are making a sort of late rotation as Kings of BD or from the western side. On the western side, we can already see a congestion, but in the dead smack center, guess which team is already there? It's 7Cs, it's Venom Legends, and we can get to see some real action erupting in this game of Erangel as third circle has just shifted. But till now, apart from those early fights, it's just the IPG that is looking really aggressive. Rest of the lobby still looks passive and are settled in a good way for now.
Well. With that, the second airdrop being dropped down along with, of course, the level 3 usual kit and the MK14 that's waiting for one lucky team. But as the progression moves on, we are in the 14-minute marker, 14 teams still alive, and the circle is going to be favoring all of them because there's no team that is not going to be able to make it from the looks of it. Of course, when it comes down to bad intentions, they are holding their ground. They are outside, but they are still, again, playing with the team and squad. They are probably hoping to play as low and low key as possible. Along with that, XBROTHERS, another team that we did see yesterday as well as today, now finally taking action, taking the fight against the players of Sistan official. Faisal is the one who was bringing in that onslaught, was not able to chime in along when it comes down to any knocks confirmed, but certainly did give a little bit of a damage to the players of course, 6ix9ine official. But as they do so, they have now given away the information as well. This is, of course, not going to be an easy task to take on this fight and the onslaught, because after all, when it comes to XBROTHERS, one of their players has already been knocked. Kenji G is down on his knees, not looking too good, of course, but eventually he does have the teammates around to be able to give him the revival. But having done so, they have now gotten onto a back foot of this fight. 6ix9ine official that much more in control, but certainly not retaliating for the moment. As of now, these teams are just holding their ground. 15 minutes in, a slow, low-key game is what is on our hands.
Exactly. I mean, definitely. On a contrast, just for a change, the game that we saw in yesterday's match that been Group A and Group B were there. It was thanks to A1 Esports onslaught that came in, and also VNM Legends, because it's two big team into the lobby. I expected some sort of aggressive gameplay coming in from the sides of 7Cs, but still not the case, as you just mentioned. Just the 15 minutes, and each and every player are just trying to spot down each and everyone. They know actually where the exact position of players are actually located, because in the same proximity we can see XBROTHER, we can see TRZ, and the rest of more and more teams. Three teams were in the same proximity, but they were still not going on for the fight. So the fight where it is actually happening, it is happening on the edge of the circle, where IPG now, they just because they lost a lot of time in that fight against one team that they actually put them down. Now Censored has been abandoned to leave on its own somewhere. He will bleed off, and that's all down to how Dictator and Sincere will go away from here. But it seems that Sincere will be bleeding also, bleeding out, and Sincere, yep, here we go. Sincere also falls a bit down to that play zone, and Dictator is getting a huge amount of sword shots. His two tires from the right hand side has completely been flattened out, and this is not going to be an easy task for him to make it through safe passage. But till now, anyhow, he has made an entry from the northeast western side, and maybe if we get a cover of indie dog or these wheat farms, this can be blessing in disguise for him. On the other hand, Sincere has been taken down thanks to those blue zones that chips in, because you just cannot afford to deal the damage once it's the fourth zone. On the other hand, it's now 6 official taking the fight in its own hand. But for now, it seems that the rest of the teammates are settled for now. On the backhand side, we can already see 7C's players are aligned, but if Dictator gets spotted him down, he can be really taken down, and that can be game in for him.
Well, it most certainly could be, because he's the one man remaining for the team, and of course, it is not working for him. But along with that, moving on down towards the players of Kings of BD. Now, this team has also been chiming along when it comes down to the aggressive stances that they have been able to make, and are actually converting those stances into some really good opportunities for themselves. Devils OP right now is on our stream. Is going to be taking on a fight against the players of SLX, and the compound is looking in control of SLX, but will the push coming in from the side of Kings of BD be enough to be able to retaliate? Well, for the moment, it is BF's Vimo who is going to be in the crosshairs of Devil's OP, and eventually will be brought down to his knees and maybe even confirmed kill as well. A DP spray coming in along with the SRL is certainly going to be helping out this player, but alongside that, his teammates have made the push, have made a perfect push towards the players of course, SLX, and now the nade parade is going to get started off along. Atappa on top is not really aware that there is a nade right next to him. Same can be said, of course, for Tiger as well. As Tiger jumps on back, he is going to be bringing in some Molotov area as well. That is going to allow SLX's players to fall back down to their knees. There's only VAT69 and Rescue who are the two-man remaining. Of course, Tiger has created another nade parade situation for himself and is going to be controlling the flank towards the left of this house. Eventually, of course, VAT69 goes down. Rescue is going to be able to bring in Katappa down to his knees, but not for long, because after all, Tiger's approach is going to be absolutely onslaught, and SLX have been eliminated. A perfectly controlled, aggressive stance created by two players of Kings of BD
Exactly.
against the four-man squad of SLX. What a wonderful turn of events.
Thankfully, this time Kings of BD are playing with 4 men, and just because of that, we saw how 4 player actually helps you because on the left hand side, some players were actually deployed to take down the players of Boston Pyjamas, and just the 2 player completely wiped out the whole squad that found himself in that fortified area. And the use of utilities was used to perfection, and and SLX didn't have any other option. It was rescue that was the last player still surviving, but with no other option than to fall down that because it was an onslaught that was coming in. Now, eliminating all the players, Kings of BD are playing in a split where 3 players are holding that bridge and 1 player has been actually deployed to take care of the players from the Boston Pajama side that are coming in and are trying to come in from the northwestern side. But the circle has made a shift, and that brings just the one team into the circle, and that is going to be of NRZ. The number of teams that are out of the circle are at its maximum. Venom Legends needs to make a rotation. 7Cs, 6-9 official, XBROTHERS, and it is going to be really difficult for NRZ because where NRZ are for now, I guess is the same place where Venom Legends would be loving to have an eye upon themselves. And there we go. Boston Pyjama spots down the players of Venom Legends, but Venom Legends, it seems that they now are in a terrified situation. They don't have any other option than to retaliate or to try to fire onto the players. Wipeout tries to bring one more player down. Eventually, Nightwing falls down, and since survive the onslaught that is coming in, and 2 kills will be easily secured into the favor of Boston Pyjamas. So a late rotation from the sides of Venom Legends. It was a very bad situation for now, and just the 2 player rotating in the same US, that was what sort of thing should I say? That was a decision that was really didn't pave way for him.
Well, it certainly did backfire, simply put, when it comes down to Venom Legends' rotation not going against, or rather for them. But eventually, of course, BIP getting the better half of that fight were able to retaliate and bring down the players of course, Venom Legends down to 2-man army, and that too perhaps not for long, because it seems like BIP is not yet done with the aggressive stance that they have created against the players of Venom Legends as they push on along to bring down the 2-man army down to a zilch itself. But talking about XBROTHERS, as they are on our screens, another team that do need those points, and yep, with that, it is going to be BIP who is going to confirm those kills for himself. And of course, Venom Legends have been sent back in the lobby with the 4 kills that they were able to get, and the placement point not looking too good for the side of Venom Legends, but overall decent play, of course, because they are slowly and steadily making decent progress in terms of the points department at least. But talking about the teams, we've got 18 remaining. BIT finally, Bad Intentions might just jump into some action right here, and it is going to be none other than Winter once again, who's going to be bringing in quite a lot of onslaught against the players of UnstoppableX right now. Of course, Merciful has already been sent back into the lobby. Hassan is going to be his next target. He did have some wonderful sprays on point along with that. He is not yet done. It is going to be Python's auto aim that now Winter is going to be trying to dish out damage towards. Of course, the Bucky could be the demise of auto aim itself. He has popped the smoke, but will that be enough? Nope, it will not. Auto aim has been brought on. This is the Winter that we had been missing, and he is finally back in action.
I mean, definitely this is the Winter that we have missed his action in the first 3 games that has actually panned out. But now it seems that Winter in its own way has on that 5th gear, has put the pedal, and now they are looking pretty strong. Now Stalker also joins the frame, now tries to decimate the complete team of Unstoppable, and Unstoppable doesn't have any other answer than just to wait and watch. I guess some sort of retaliation and resort can come in, but I guess Bad Intentions won't be giving any sort of respite to him. On the other hand, Stalker, Fardeen has been knocked down, all thanks to the spray that has come in from the sides of Hassan. But Stalker, the way he has actually maneuvered his buggy, it seems that he is looking up to take a fight against Hassan. But Hassan that has that in his hand, and we know how detrimental it can be. Proves detrimental as Stalker and Fardeen goes down. Now it is all down to Bad Intention Winter, but Winter eventually falls down, and this leads to demise. So just a moment ago, we were seeing how Winter was trying to dominate, but was just not getting the sort of confidence and coordination that he actually wanted. Slowly and steadily, 2 of the players fall down, and eventually it was all down to Winter Soldier, and then he just falls down. On the other hand, we can get to see Python trying to dominate the lobby and not letting any player trying to survive in their own vicinity. Sub-Zero is just trying to create the flank angle. Ahad needs a revival, and so does the players of rest of the players from the sides of Python can do. But till now, it's still the 6th circle. 103 meters is what Python needs to travel. Python really had a decent day in terms of total points that they have to secure. We have seen in the first game of Erangel when they went for the placement point, and these sort of strategies we can get to see again in this game of Erangel. On the other hand side, it's XBROTHERS they are punishing really bad. 7Cs for their late rotation for now. BhaiBrother just needs to give all the revival that is for now, but BhaiBrother has gone for the flank angle, but XBROTHERS knows the exact position of 7C. 7Cs, what they have done pretty good for now is that they are in a 2-1-1 split. We can already see BhaiBrother on the right hand side and left side. It's Rafat. That means Eveline and Kapchi into the center hand side, and Rafat can actually bring that knock onto King GG, and that can help Kapchi and Eveline to travel closer towards 7Cs. But it's not the case because they are traveling out in the open with the help of McLaren they have, and this is the sort of confidence that 7Cs are known for. But with this, NRZ Esports gets eliminated as unstoppable are looking pretty unstoppable.
Well, GG play coming in from the side of 7C, of course, but Rave for the moment has already been knocked. But eventually, of course, his teammates are very close to him, so the revival should be brought on. But 7C, I mean, this team has been so much in control. XBROTHERS have finally put a nail to the coffin itself, and 7C's 3 players are down. Rafat is the only man remaining. Of course, he will try his level best to get as much revival as he can, but XBROTHERS are not going to be allowing that. XBROTHERS, King GG, the one-man army who always does push on aggressively, is the man who will, of course, be brought on down right now, but will be also the man who will take the fight to the face of 7C and end up eliminating them. With that, King GG will be given a revival from the side of Faisal, of course, and they are a 3-man squad for the moment. 3 teams remaining. You've got UnstoppableX is insane, who is all by himself, and Python. Finally, we do see Python in the arena, who have moved on along with all 4 members still alive, being very, very patient and very, very quiet in this final few moments of the fight. And also, the circle working and favoring him, the team is most certainly going to be helping out the side of Python. Of course, this is the team that we did see on day number 3 or 4 of the quarterfinals that was just absolutely decimating the entire lobby, have finally jumped along with an aggressive stance, with the perfect number of players that could very well mean they could get this chicken dinner. But XBROTHERS are the ones who are maybe going to be putting a bit of a full stop in that sort of a play. Of course, right now we do see Python being very, very quiet. I mean, it's surreal to see that a team with all 4 members being in the top 3 and still not wanting to choose to fight is interesting, to say the least.
I mean, definitely that's so unreal to see because Python. This is a team that has actually tried to decimate the lobby. But one thing is for sure with the gameplay that they are trying to strategize for now is that they just don't want to slip away from the chicken that is just waiting for them. That's all what I can expect for now because having 4 players in the lobby and they know the exact position where XBROTHERS are because just a moment ago they just saw a lot of ruckus being created. The smokes were there, the vehicles were being destroyed, and they had the exact positions where they are. But still now they are not choosing to get themselves into fight. Maybe they're just waiting for the 8th circle, and once the 8th circle presses XBROTHERS player to go into the zone, and then they will be taking the fight. And this is a good thing that can eventually goes into the favor, but they need to take care that eventually that can backfire at the end of the day because XBROTHERS, King GG, and rest of the players that are carrying the momentum. 8 kill is what XBROTHERS, the whole team is consisting for now, and they are holding the momentum for now. Eventually, Python does have the man advantage, but we talk about momentum in this last circle, and XBROTHERS do really have in its own share. Faisal for now is holding the flank angle, is onto that front hand side, and just tried to gather a lot of information and has actually spotted down the player, but still not taking the shot. On the other hand, IHI is still on the back hand side. Autoim and Sub-Zero are on the flank. Bad Cell on the left hand side, just in order to tank in the damage that can come in, because some players can be there and there's something a good strategy is coming in. But still now, it's a deadlock situation. The player just waiting. And the moment I said IHI gets one more knock and Faisal gets down. And now it's all down to how Sherlock and King GG, if they get the revival or creates the onslaught onto him, as it's really, really, really getting difficult. As IHI takes one more down, King's GG now down. It's now all down to how Sherlock takes the fight in its own way. Faisal gets the info, takes the info, and pings it to the own. Sherlock, any of surviving, he will be taken down. And I guess now Python has sensed the chicken going in own way. But no, Sherlock has something in its bag. There is still a twist in the tail as Bad Cell finds the final nail in the coffin. And with that, they need to realize if Insane at this point throws at least one molly onto the player, both the players are just on 20 HP, and with this get connect well, this can be a game man. And Unstoppable needs to realize that Insane, it's the man, it's the time, but this is looking pretty difficult, but because it's still 4 player alive from the sides of Python.
Well, indeed, for the moment it is. But Insane's play could very well turn into quite a ruckus for the side of Python Esports because, after all, when it comes to number advantage, Python certainly do have that. They have already brought down the team of XBROTHERS. Eventually, are going to be able to give that revival to their teammates as well. But will that be enough? Of course, because now, for the moment, Insane certainly looking pretty confident and comfortable when it comes down to utilities that he has also the vest and the helmet working in his favor. But it is a 1v3 situation. That is the only situation that, again, could backfire for the side of Insane. Of course, the utilities that he was able to throw have not resulted in kind of push that he was hoping for. 28 minutes into the game, again, Python being so very quiet into this gameplay. I mean, they are taking their merry time. They have the advantage of the numbers, but they still do not know exactly what to expect from the final player who's remaining. That, of course, is none other than Insane. And Insane has been caught, eventually will be brought down to his knees. And Python taking a chicken dinner, coming from nowhere, from the ashes, simply put, have taken away a perfect, glorious moment that could have been for XBROTHER or the side of course, UnstoppableX. But boy, oh boy, this is just an incredible turn of wins because Python are back in the game again with 8 kills, 23 points, and a total of 1121 damage dished out from the entirety of this team. They rank 10th in the overall standing.
Definitely an influential game coming in from the sides of Python, and the last actually punished a player where they were actually not looking good. But I really didn't find any reason why Python couldn't have got the chicken in this match, because once they just tried to overcome it, it was a time that I had took 2 men down from the sides of another team, that they were actually pinning them down, and then it was all down to the rest of the 3 players that were alive in the situation, but they were still making sure they were all taking the sweet time that we talk about, just not let any player now fall down and get close towards the chicken with the maximum number advantage you can get to. And with that, IPG getting that chicken into their favor, and a good game coming in from sides of Python, obviously, but the most valuable player for this match eventually, it's rougher, because we saw the onslaught that this team brought in when they were trying to close in from the edge of the western side. A lot of team was caught in the open. They were making sure that they will be taking the fight. It was an unstoppable that really put them down, but before that it was rougher that was really shining on the same place.
Well, he most certainly was, with, of course, the 5 kills, 824 damage that he was able to dish out all by himself. We did see Python right now with 1100 damage total. And right now, we have the MVP who all by himself was able to get 824 damage. So that itself showcases the kind of play that this team was able to bring. But again, with that, as we move on to the top 4 players, we have to talk about XBROTHERS, because that is the team that put 7C back into the lobby. And what a perfect spray and aggressive stance it was taken from the side of XBROTHERS. So again, GG play coming in from King GG. Along with that, of course, Sherlock is the one who has moved on into the top 4 players from XBROTHERS side with almost 700 damage dished out and 5 kills. Beautiful turnover wins for the side, but eventually, again, the chicken dinner was taken away from them. It was thanks to Python and their numbers and their playstyle.
Definitely, but credit needs to go to this lad from XBROTHERS, and it was Sherlock. Eventually, Sherlock gets the most kill from this match summary. But what thing that I was trying to point out was he brought at least 2 players from the sides of Python down to its knees when Python were really looking the best contender for this match to get the chicken. Eventually, Python find themselves out in the open. They were just trying to overcome it in this situation, and just because of that, they were being punished. But thanks to that onslaught that came in at the right point, at the right time from the rest of the players from Python, and just because of that, Sherlock was shut down. But before that, it was just Sherlock that was really making it difficult for Python to survive. But all thanks to iHigh, that really had a very good spotting technique that he had from the sides of Python. But with this, we head towards the match ranking, where we get to see not a lot of kill, but a chicken is a chicken at the end of the day, that Python gets secured in this game a total of 23 points, and XBROTHERS also joins the frame, unstoppable with 18.7 Cs, Bots in Pyjamas. So a lot of teams that were on the second and third half of the chart are now starting to making a comeback, and the team and certain teams that were on that 9th, 10th or 8th position, maybe after this total point, they will be leading the chart against the rest of the teammates. But again, we need to talk about how Oxygen went down in this match. Again, it was just the first team that got eliminated without any point, completely unacceptable. And this is what I have to say, because in 3 matches, even if you are not able to get at least 1 point, that means you don't have any sort of contribution in the match. Maybe in the next game of Sanhok, where it can be a complete turnaround, we can get to see some more points getting acclimated in Oxygen ES.
Hopefully. That's all I can say. Hopefully, because I mean, yes, you're so on point, dude. You know, 2 games, this team has been in part of fights, but not even walking away with 1 kill. Begs to differ as to how are they even here. But again, hopefully, that's what the end result is going to be, at least from my side for the team. But eventually, as we move on down towards the Oppo F19 Pro moments, we do have this early contestation that was taken on. Of course, DoD was part of it. IPGx certainly moved on along as well. But overall, when it came down to this team that we were talking about, what a perfect play it was. Kings of BD pushed on along towards the players of SLX, just a 2-man army from Kings of BD, completely decimating the SLX compound. Amazing stats.
I mean, definitely, they completely decimated the lobby, and also it was a complete decimation for VNM Legends. This was also a game where VNM Legends didn't shine, but it was Bots in Pyjamas that really had a very good kill. Eventually, they did falter down, but they were the team that got a good number of kill and total points. And here, it was a thing where Sherlock really did it possible, because I guess it was a time where he made it look pretty much impossible for 7Cs to get close towards the chicken. King GG went with the flank angle, went with an aggressive approach, finished 1 player with the vehicle run over, and that baited out his exact position. He fell down actually, because it was last player from the sides of 7Cs that took him down, but it was then his demise. And then these final moments for this match where Badcell really had his crosshair set upon, and then the final elimination of Insane from the sides of Unstoppable. The chicken completely goes into the name of Python, but still not there in the first half of the chart, but not much of a difference, as we can already see VNM Legends, even after 3 more games that they have played more towards A1 Esports, the lead is sort of just 8 point. And this is something that is and must be triggering in the minds of VNM Legends fans and VNM Legends players.
Most certainly, but on the other tangent, talk about 7C Esports on the 7th position for now. With only 3 games, they have been able to accumulate 56 points, and they've still got 2 more games remaining from today. So they can very well climb all the way up to perhaps 4th or even 3rd position if things work out in their favor in the next 2 games. But what an amazing stance it was from Python this time around, because they were on the 3rd page of the overall standing, and this time around with that chicken dinner and the kill department working in their favor, they have moved all the way up to 10th position. So looking really phenomenal. They keep playing this sort of a gameplay, they can very well find themselves in the top 8 by the end of the day, hopefully.
I mean, definitely that's the chance. That is certainly a chance, because the point difference is not so much. 40 points, just the 3 matches. Even if they get close to 15 points in the last 2 matches, that is pretty much difficult. That is pretty much far-fetched, but still it's possible at the end of the day. But Kings of BD really also had a very good run, but I just don't understand what has happened all of a sudden to bad intentions. But this is not where I expect bad intentions to be. 3 matches, 4 placement points, 4 kill points, a total of 8 points. This really doesn't justify with the way bad intentions has been playing in the past, what the players are actually capable of and what they can actually do. Maybe in the last 2 games, this can be a turn of fortune for bad intentions and also for Oxygen. At the end, all we can do is to be hopeful.
Oh yes, that is true, mate. That is so true. I mean, just keep your fingers crossed and hope that these teams are able to make it, right? Because after all, it is something that we had been talking about from day one of the national championship itself. You have to be consistent, and if that
Definitely.
consistency is not going to be there from one game to the next, then the opportunity is going to be lost on along the way. It is Oxygen Esports that is just proving that point again and again. With that, we've got 3 games done, 2 still remain. We're going to go on a very short break. Be right back.
Are you keeping it real? I'm calling shotgun, wanna see my baby run. Oh, what's the word on the sea? Kicking up the dust, if you know what I mean. We got a good thing going. We got a good thing going on.
Hello and welcome to Pubg Mobile National Championship Bangladesh region. All thanks to Oppo F19 Pro. This is day number 2 of the semi-finals. We've got 3 games done. Now we're going to be moving into Sanhok with Group B and C. Slow pace game is what we are expecting from Group B and C throughout the day.
Definitely.
But this time around, of course, the map itself is where things are going to change because after all, it is going to be Sanhok. That's hopefully implying that the game will be a bit more of a curveball. Lot many third parties that can be expected, but what sort of a circle would you want to see when it comes down to this game, Ankit?
Maybe centralized towards Painan, because till now we haven't seen
Hmm,
a hybrid circle. We have seen going towards the area of Camp Bravo, where it completely turns down to either boot camp or goes towards the area of Paradise Resort, or to the eastern or western or around Paradise Resort. But I would really want to
right.
see if it gets towards the area of Painan, because Painan is an important city that connects that Camp Bravo and Camp Charlie Island, and any team that drops to that same location will be in a really good situation, advantageous situation. And also it will be really difficult for the team for Camp Alpha to come to Bravo, and from Bravo to Charlie, because they have a lot of control over the same area. We'll get to see once the circle forms, because for now the flight path is already on its way. You can see one team is missing from the lobby. Maybe some team may have missed the mark in this fourth map for the day, and the team that would have missed it is really an heartbreak for them.
Well,
For me also,
Oxygen
because I
Esports
have
is here.
let me count. Let me count. Let
As
me
long
just
as
count
Oxygen
which team is
Esports is
counting.
here, I guess we're fine.
It's there. It's there. It's the 24 team.
Yep. That's what I mean. So yeah, we're talking about the game itself, of course. We've got the docs taken over by UnstoppableX, who are all by themselves, talking about early contestations. This time around, I do want to see exactly what sort of a game style or gameplay will Venom be bringing, because they most of the times do love to go down towards the lot more cow region that's going to be up towards the northern side of the map. But will that be enough from this team? Because after all, when it comes down to the play style, it is lacking a little bit from the side of Venom Legends. The aggressive stances that we've been able to see from this team are most certainly lacking, no two ways about it. And that is something that hopefully will change based on this game. And then, of course, there's only one more final game remaining on Erangel. But right now, talking about early contestations, there couldn't really be better chance for, of course, the side of IPGx to jump into the zone, because IPGx is going to be very close to Camp Alpha right now. A very planned out approach is what we see IPGx bring into the table. Same can be said for of course, the center of the map itself, where we do see Mortem having a really fanned out approach with a two-man split, is what we are looking at them. But 7C, the team that has been consistent throughout, is looking really good in terms of the synergy, as well as they all are together down towards the Paradise Resort.
I mean, definitely they are towards that area, and we can already see 6 official already into the frame. And XBROTHERS, some players are quite isolated, and now they have realized. So he is trying to retreat away with parachute still on in the air. Can we get to see some aerial knock, maybe aerial finish? That can be a thing that we would love to see, and those are the things that gets trigger and trigger for the players. And RZ also in the frame. So X Brothers, I guess maybe they would love to go towards the area of Mongnai or to the nearing compounds, because for now all the 4 players are completely in a different sort of approach, and so has been for the players of Python, because on the western side of on the western side of Paradise Resort, towards the northern side of the map, closer towards where Venom Legends have dropped down, is where Python is for now. Bad Intentions also dropping onto the complete western side of the map. But for now, let's head toward and talk about this team that is of IPG. This is a team that got the first chicken of the day in the last game of Erangel. It was some sort of a bit unfortunate situation for them, where they just got eliminated. It was just not the game for them. But can this be a change around for themselves again? This will be a thing to talk about. But let's have some cinematic look over this. Beautiful map of Sanhok, where we get to see Camp Alpha, the smallest island in terms of the total area size. Then we get to see Camp Charlie, a bit more large, sort of what we can say, and then Camp Bravo. But heading towards the fight, we can already see some teams are very close towards those cities that are in that oceanic region, and we are talking about Kings of BD that are on the southern side of this Sanhok map. They are looting for now. Camp Charlie Island, and once they get to loot up, they will have a safe passage into the entry, because not a lot of trouble is what they will be facing. That's what I can expect for now, because not a lot of team is in the same proximity. But once, sooner or later, the circle shifts slowly and steadily, maybe we can get to see some fight. But apart from this, uh, that's an unfortunate situation because I expected some sort of drop clash, maybe some fight being picked off in the early stage of the game, but till now Sanhok has been the most settled one.
Well, it certainly has been for the moment, but hopefully things will change on along because after all, when it comes to the map, we do know that it is going to be one of those moments where, or rather, one of those maps that does allow those third parties to bring in, and that is something that hopefully will allow these teams to bring up the best gameplay from themselves. But we shall have to see if that will be the case or not. For now, things are looking pretty much as they do when it comes to Group PNC because they are just slow poke starters when it comes down to the games. And of course, in that doing so, have resulted in absolutely no uh, skirmishes that we are part of as of now. So, of course, teams are just getting themselves acclimated and getting into the decent amount of compound and cover and utilities that are going to be working for them. UnstoppableX right here. In the previous game, we did see Hassan was able to just hold his life for a few more moments in the final few circles. But as we progress on along into this game, we'll have to see what sort of a play style will they be trying to bring to the table, coming down to their points itself. They, of course, do need to be in the top 16 to participate in the finals. But for now, it is looking easier said than done because so many of the teams have not really been able to bring up, especially from Group C, have not been able to bring up their sort of play style today at least. I mean, not necessarily pointing out Group C itself. We've got to talk about Winner Legends as well. Winner Legends have not been able to, perform that sort of a play style that we are accustomed to seeing them do. But right here, it is Oxygen Esports, a team that we want to be able to see in fights, are taking fights, a long extended fight against the players of Kings of BD. So, of course, the knock was not yet confirmed. A kill has certainly not been confirmed. But Amit right here, all by himself, taking a fight against the players of Kings of BD. Interesting of a position that we see Oxygen Esports in. Along with that, 6 minutes in, first airdrop being dropped on along with the AWM. Now, this is a gun that does, according to me, I mean, there are, again, different people will have different opinions about it, but according to me, based on this map, again, I always find this to be a bit of a troll gun, especially on Sanhok, because do you really need a bolt action on this? Of course, on maps like Miramar and whatnot, you will be able to utilize it that much more wonderfully, but on a map like this, it's just, like I said, it's
Exactly.
maybe just me, but it is a troll gun.
I mean, definitely you can get some no scope headshot or maybe body shot, but apart from that, you really don't get a lot of time to actually spot down the players. And this is not a map where you wait for a team to actually come in, and you don't have a lot of time in this game of Sanhok to be dire honest because the map is completely action packed. We are just towards the end of the 7 minutes, and we can already see the second zone will be forming sooner or later. So is a gun which actually takes a lot of time to then dent a damage, but once it does, that's where you can get to see some skull cracking headshot. Even the level 3 helmet won't be able to get saved, and if that gets connected into the head, that will be the demise of the player. But we just saw some players from sides of 7Cs getting eliminated in the early stage of the game. So a team in the last game also that was completely decimated by one player that was from the sides of XBROTHERS Sherlock. It was a 1v3 affair that he did, and then it was all down to them getting eliminated. This time again, it was SLX and Mortem that was punishing them well, but still, it's the 15 team in this lobby, and I'm still not able to figure out which is the team that has not joined the lobby. If chat is listening to us, do let us know in the chat section. We would love to see which team is actually there.
Well, right. So, talking about the team that is not participating, again, we shall get to know as soon as the overall standing comes up on board, right? And we shall see what team has not played the game. But right now, again, talking about the teams that are playing the game, we do see TRZ making a water rotation from the northern side and are going to be, well, finding themselves in a bit of a tricky situation as they get themselves down towards the Kavi region. But for now, of course, they are going to be busy with that water rotation. Hopefully, the boat does not run out of fuel. Now, that is
Exactly.
something that has happened previously for the teams as well when they do try and make that water rotation, and that turns out to be in a bit of a really tricky affair for the lots. But we shall see if that will be the case for the side of this team or not. For now, of course, this is the team on our screens, TRZRA, a team that has, of course, been very consistent in terms of their playstyle that they've showcased earlier, but this time around, it's just not working. I mean, today, the day itself, it's certainly working in favor of a few select teams, like of course 7C, of course IPG trying their level best, but so many of the teams have just not been able to put their foot down. Like for example, Bad Intention right here, a team that was looking so very good, so very dominating, so very aggressive, have just not been able to do so, at least for today. But as the story continues on, it is IPG who are getting the better half of this fight. It is going to be Censored who was able to bring down the player. And as they move on along, will that be confirmed with the kill? For the moment, not, but only time will tell if they will push along through the area, because it is a long ways away. Both the teams are long ways away from each other, and to be able to confirm that kill is not going to be an easy task.
Thankfully, this time it's Bad Intentions, all 4 player in the proximity, and all 4 players are playing, because in the last game we didn't see counter in the action, and this was just the 3 players that was taking the fight, and it was really difficult for now. But till now, 4 players are there, but they are getting a lot of damage. They are under heavy cover fire, as IPG has already tried engulfing them. We can already see Dictator holding this tree trunk. The trunk doesn't offer you a lot of width, but it can still hold yourself away from it, and you can still take the fight. I would wait and see if they have some sort of different approach, but Fardeen has been completely wiped down. That means the rest of the 3 player, that is going to be Stalker, Counter, and Winter, the 2 big name from this side, I guess, are still in the fight, are still in this contestation. That's a good thing, I would say, because Fardeen has been just knocked down, has been completely finished. That means this might be pinning them down, but now they have decided to go into the zone from facing the Wrath of the Blue, and this is something that Bad Intentions really didn't want to, but since IPG have actually pressed them, they don't have any sort of other option. Winter, on the other hand, is making sure that they don't get any sort of flank angle that gets created, and he's making sure that the rest of the 2 players that is running in the blue gets into the safe passage into the zone. So till now, we were expecting Bad Intentions to be in a good knock, to be in a good touch, but in this 11 minutes of this game, nothing is going right for Bad Intentions, because they have already lost 1 player. They don't have a lot of much meds, because Winter just surviving on 10 bandages. Running in this blues won't be an easy task, because once they find themselves on the edge of the circle will be good, definitely going for the 3rd shift, and they have also need to cross these Camp Charlie to and go to Camp Bravo. The circle shift towards that. So Bad Intentions really have a lot of task ahead that they need to get themselves in a best way. We have to still wait for that, how they are going to happen, how they are going to be taking its way, how they are going to be dealing in its own way. But still, we are just hoping for it. On the other hand, in the center, we have got a lot of congestions where Mortem is there, SLX is there, DoD is there, Unstoppable is there, Venom Legends. On the other hand, till now they have been quiet. Just imagine if the circle goes completely into their favor. The circle has gone completely not into the favor, but once all the 4 player gets to the split approach, they still have the northern edge to completely play into its own way, and they won't be facing any challenge. But if the fight takes the fight into its own way, into its own hand, it can be a time where XBROTHERS can be putting themselves in a lot of challenge. On the other hand, we were talking about the XBROTHERS, a TRZ's rotation. Now they have made a successful entry, and they are on the land of Campong side. Now they will be making a safer approach, but we were talking about the situation where XBROTHER, if they tries to spot, have already spotted down, Void is down, Steel Shot needs to get the revival. So again, Venom Legend is also not having a good run in this 12 minutes of this game. We have to still wait for these big teams. Do they have anything else to show to us in this game of Sanhok?
Well, that will be the question that we will, of course, be answering in a few minutes' time. For now, as we jump into the game itself, it's 13 minutes and 15 teams alive. All teams basically that jumped are still alive. There has been no team that has been sent back into the lobby. And overall, when it comes to the fights itself, we are looking at Venom Legends trying to make a rotation and were caught off guard a little bit. But overall, we'll still be able to get away and be able to make a stand for another fight. And along with that, talking about XBROTHERS, now this team has been finding themselves in decent play styles, because again, I mean, the previous game also they were able to dominate and were able to walk away with decent amount of kills as well. This time around, they've taken a slow approach for the moment, with 14 minutes already in, and still not a lot of fights have taken on. So again, that is kind of turning into like a that's what the entire day is turning out to be, that it takes at least 14 to 15 minutes for these to get into a fight. And right here, once again, talking about the early contestation at the 14-minute marker, it is Oxygen Esports that seems to be finding point to take a fight against the players of SLX, and this is where things can get very interesting once again, because Oxygen Esports, they need those points. Will they be given the opportunity to get those points this time around? Well, let's find out.
Man, this is definitely a point to actually have our eyes set upon. We are still waiting if Oxygen tries to bring one more knock, but the way they are trying to hover here and there, it seems that they're completely confused and perplexed with the way they are trying to approach towards SLX players. But SLX, on the other hand, holding those rocks, holding those terrains, are in a good position because Rescue has the complete knowledge where the one team is positioned on the right hand side, and that is going to be of DoD. On the other hand side, two players are in center lines and one player on the backhand side. So 2-1-1 approach is what SLX is playing for now, and this can be really, really tricky if Oxygen doesn't care about this because SLX is ready for the fight. But is Oxygen ready for the fight? We have to still wait for that. We have to still wait for that. But on the other hand, the circle is still in their favor, so we might expect the fight to get elongated. And since the distance is pretty much, so maybe if knock goes even into the favor of SLX or Oxygen, they won't be able to finish them off, or if they do, they have to run in the open. So a lot of things, a lot of predicaments, and a lot of points to draw out of, which gets corrected when which gets implemented. We have to still wait for that. But Oxygen has now spotted down that it's bad intention that is trying to make an entry from the southern side, and this can be really tricky affair for bad intention because we have already seen bad intentions were already low on meds, and if they face four players even from the sides of Oxygen, because they have already faced a lot of brand from the blues, this will be really getting difficult. But it seems that Oxygen are parting away from this fight and they are going to somewhere different place, and that can be something where bad intentions will flourish.
Well, that could be the case for now. As you talk about the zone itself, the zone has moved on away from these teams, and Quarry is where the circle is going to push these teams on towards. Venom Legends are going to be making a northern rotation. Along with that, of course, right behind them is going to be XBROTHERS, SLX, who were just in the crosshairs of course, Auction Esports a few minutes ago, have now found themselves in a bit of a tricky affair where they do have IPGx right next to him, and they are on already working on down towards DoD. But IPGx get the better half of that fight. Rescue has already been knocked. Three players that are part of SLX's army are now going to try and retaliate, but apparently not. Eventually, they're going to try and get themselves into the compound rather than get the revive to the teammate and give him the kind of cover fire that is required in this situation. But eventually, they are going to push on along to get their loot segregated and sorted around. And IPGx are going to have to push on to the compound itself to be able to communicate this, or rather retaliate and push on along and get this converted into points. An interesting turn of where on the other side of the map is going to be the fact that 7C have already lost two of their players. The again, looking really comfortable that team was, but this time around on the map of Sanhok have just not been able to retaliate that much. We are 17 minutes in, and if we look onto the kill feed, we've only got 2 kill points coming in from the side of SLX, 1 kill point coming in from the side of Python, and again 2 kill points coming in for the side of IPGx and Kings of BD. So not a lot of kills have been dished out in this game as of now.
Definitely.
18 minutes in.
I mean, a completely surprise turn off event. 18 minutes in the game of Sanok. How often do we get to see? It's still 15 teams alive. There may be a case that some teams are surviving on just two players. Talk about TRZ. Now it's come down to one, as we just talking about. 7C is still 2 men alive, but the fact of the matter is that it's still 15 team alive in this lobby. And maybe if the circle goes for the fifth shift because the circle presses you to go for the fight, then you just cannot resort from the fight. Then you anyhow have to take the fight, and then we can get to see more and more fights getting erupted. As from the northern side, 6 official is really making any team, any player pay if they are trying to make a rotation. Venom Legends needs to be pretty much careful because just a moment back we saw them getting pinned down by some other team 5 minutes back, and once if they try to make a rotation from this side, it can be Python from the backhand side or maybe a 6 official that is already finding themselves position in the center into the circle. But the way Bad Cell is moving slowly and steadily, Python, just because they got the chicken in the last match, we can already see the seeping confidence in the player's mind, and slowly and steadily the player are making closing to that circle. They are pretty much close to the 6 official, and I guess 6 official have heard the sound cues, but till now the players needs the revival. Sub-Zero will be given the revival on the dot 10 or 5 HP maybe, and if he gets the revival, then Python will be good to go. But they really need to face a lot of challenge, because on the right hand side it's 7Cs that won't be shying away to take any fight, and on the left hand side it's 6-9 official that is already pretty much close towards them. It's high that is also taking the shots. That means 6-9 official knows that it's some team and it's Python that is pretty much close to them, and at any moment an onslaught can come in onto the players of Python through 6-9 official.
Well, GG play indeed. Finally, at 20 minutes marker, it seems like the zone itself is going to push the fight to these players. And right now, we can see so many players are being knocked as they make that rotation. Of course, it is the 5th zone, so not a lot of space for 15 teams to be sharing. And of course, that is the result which we are seeing. And right now, of course, it was XBROTHERS who were at the receiving end and slowly will be brought down to their knees. It is 6-9 official on our streets as they push her along to counter the zone, to be a part of the fight itself, to be able to contest against the areas that are in front of them. Python Esports has already been sent back to the lobby with 14th on the 14th position with only 1 kill for themselves. We find DoD, TRZ, PIT as well as Venom who find themselves out of the area, not in the comfort of the zone itself. And along with that, when it comes to Venom, well, they tried to take a fight, but it was easily denied. Now with that, they're only a 2-man squad and still not in the area, in the cover of the circle itself. So a crazy turn of events is what this has turned out to be. 11 teams in the 6th circle. Boy, oh boy, this is going to be annihilating play coming in from so many of these teams. As of now, of course, we can clearly see that it is going to be NRZ. We're going to push on to try and take the compound from the side of UnstoppableX. UnstoppableX certainly trying the level bet to dish out all the ruckus that has been created from the side of NRZ. And of course, with that perfectly set up nade, Merciful has gotten that one knock, and now of course is going to be creating a flank angle with its teammate to get the best half of this fight. Of course, Hassan was knocked, but eventually it was the play to make, and eventually has resulted in, of course, Merciful eliminating the team of NRZ. This has now resulted in only 7 teams alive within a matter of minutes. 4 to 5 teams have been eliminated.
And Jengiz just blew that 69, his own teammate, with that grenade. In these sort of trickier affairs, SLX just cannot imagine what sort of pressure has already been mounted down. Sorry for that interruption, Blodder, but I was just amazed to see, because SLX really didn't have a good run till now, but that grenade actually connected and didn't connect on the enemy's team. It was Bat 69 that did fall down. I was really waiting to see, but no, SLX has been completely shunned down. But it was really a sad state of affair, some unfortunate event that really struck them down, but nothing to worry about. It's again IPG into this last circle, and also not to forget, it's Unstoppable. All 4 men down to this circle. They have a very good chance. 11 kills already onto the name. The players are looking pretty much strong, and so there is the player for IPG. Both the sides have the number advantage, but the best part for IPG is that they are going for the flank in approach. They have all the 4 players completely split up, and once the circle goes for the shift, it will completely depend on which side the circle has turned down. And by the looks of it, it seems that maybe one team has been blessed with the circle, and it seems that it is gonna be of Unstoppable. We have to still wait for that, but Sincere is holding a very good flank angle that is completely on the left hand side. Merciful is smoking and deploying some sort of smoke just in order to create that flank angle that Merciful is known for. He goes for that center approach, but Sensei, that we just mentioning about, brings one more knock, and it's all down to how the rest of the 3 players survives this onslaught. And that's IPG how rolls on. They just don't allow the players to survive in the vicinity, and they just don't give any sort of breathing space, and that's where Unstoppable can crumble. A grenade is very close towards the players of Insane. Eventually, it's fortunate enough for Insane that did bounce off. Had that been more cooked, it could have been a really difficult affair. But Hassan, trying to make a rotation, trying to make a close in towards the player of Insane, has been spotted and has been brought down its knees thanks to that precise spray that was coming in from the Mehfuz. And within a blink of an eye, IPG, there we go, boy, a chicken going into their favor. I was just not imagining this game could have gone this fast paced. IPG, man, oh man, 26 kills, 2296 of damage in a game of Sanhok, straight on to 2nd rank. I mean, IPG is completely different touch. Brother, just imagine the gameplay that they were playing yesterday. Just try to contrast the gameplay that they are playing today. Right off the bat in the game of Erangel, they got the chicken with 2 matches not going in the favor. Eventually, it was a game because they came 2nd in the game of Miramar. Erangel was not their game, but Sanhok, it's an absolute flyer start for IPG.
It most certainly is. Along with that, another point to make is going to be from the side of course, the other teams. For example, VNM Legends. I mean, absolutely. I mean, just not playing the way that we have seen them do so earlier. So again, it is favoring a few of the teams. And again, this is something that we did kind of talk about at the start of the show itself. We would want to see teams that have not really been performing, or rather teams apart from, of course, 7th or VNM Legends to perform. And this time around, that has been the case. And just perfect domination being showcased from both of these teams, IPG as well as Unstoppable. I mean, amazing turn of events for Unstoppable as we move on to the MVP. Claw right here with 5 kills, 490 damage that he was able to dish out, along with the 1 assist. Certainly the man of the hour. This team by itself, I mean, walked away with 10 kills, I believe, but 5 of them were all thanks to Claw. So beautiful turnover wins, which of course will result in this team moving away in the top 8 to perhaps top 14, because this was already looking at the top 16th position, apologies there. And now with this sort of a game style that they've showcased, they are certainly going to be getting closer and closer to the top 8, simply put, and that is going to work out perfectly in Unstoppable's favor as they try and participate in the finals, basically, for the $30,000 prize pool. And well, again, for our viewers, just to let you guys know, only 16 teams will participate in the finals. Right now, of course, we do have 24 teams divided in 3 individual groups during the semi-finals, but during the finals, only top 16 will move on forth. So right now, the fight is, of course, to be a part of that top 16. But in that, IPG is just decimating the lobby right now with some amazing skills being showcased from them. I mean, in the top 4 player list, 3 of the players are from IPG itself. So that itself shows it all.
Exactly, it was dictated in the game of Miramar, and also some players, Mahfouz, Whitey, it was in the game of Erangel, the very first game of the day, and then Sensei. So complete gameplay coming in, but nothing taken away from Claw from the sides of Unstoppable. This is also a guy that actually puts his own game its own way, and that is something that I will really hopeful that once the tournament progresses, Unstoppable shines more and more. Match summary on our way with highest 5 kill going into the name of Claw. Hassan with 184-meter longest kill distance, Sensei and Dictator dominates in the highest damage and maximum assist that we have been constantly talking about. And this is just because IPG are having a very good run, because they assist well, they communicate well, they don't do anything recklessly, and every sort of step they take, that's just measured, and nothing just doing recklessly. But the way IPG are just slowly and steadily, then we have just the realization that how far they are away from the points total that VNM Legends is sitting at. I'll be really waiting to see, and more fascinated to see how far IPG's total point is away and less than what VNM Legends is. We'll get to see once the overall ranking will be on our way. But for now, the match ranking where IPG got 11 kill, chicken, and total of 26 points, and Unstoppable also pretty much looking unstoppable. And today it has also been a day of Mortem, because time and again we have seen Mortem in the game of Erangel, they came second. In this Erangel, they didn't come second, but it was total 13 points that they took away from this match. And finally, Oxygen 9 points.
Well, absolutely, decimation is what was showcased from these teams. As of now, of course, Unstoppable and IPG were the ones who is leading the charts with the number of kills that they were able to bring, and stealing rather the kills from the other teams. Eventually, of course, when you talk about the teams, we are looking at BIT still not being able to showcase that sort of a dominating play, walking away with placement points working in their favor. But as far as the kills are concerned, they were part of fights, but were not able to convert those into the kills department that they need the points from, and have been able to do so earlier as well. So the X factor from Bad Intentions has kind of run away or run down a little bit, at least for the day, for the moment. Hopefully that will change as we progress on along into the tournament. With that, 4 games done on day number 2 of the semi-finals of this National Championship Bangladesh region. Only 1 game remains, and that 1 game, I would genuinely love to see if VNM Legends are going to be able to dominate as they do. Otherwise, of course, once A1 Esports chimes in along, the lead that, of course, VNM Legends was supposed to create today, the opportunity has kind of been shunned away from them. But never mind that, we'll continue that conversation in the game right now. Talking about the Oppo F19 Pro moments itself. I mean, till the 28th minute marker, all the teams were surviving. We were in the 5th zone, and that is when the zone actually pushed the teams to get into a fight. Had that not happened, I don't think these teams were wanting to participate in any of the fights.
I mean, definitely they were just not wanting to participate in any sort of fight. But what actually entices me here is the way IPG wrapped up this match in a fashion and in a hurry. The fight could have gone and prolonged, could have prolonged, to be honest, for more than 30 to 40 seconds more, and then we could have seen the complete wipeout for any of the sides. But IPG really didn't allow Unstoppable to flourish in that place, and they were just hurriedly waiting for them to shun them down. And here we go, the overall ranking on our way, just the 3 points away from where Venom Legends is sitting, and IPG slowly and steadily climbing up the success of Ledar. And this is something looking really pretty good for now. Now, 2 chicken, 41 kill. That means the team is really cementing its place, but they will be or will be not able to capitalize and overtake Venom Legends. That's the case, and that will be answered in the last game of Erangel. On the other hand side, XBROTHERS also having a pretty decent run. 9 games, just a total of 62 total points. So a lot of 60s total points we can get to see from 4 to 7, where Bots in Pajamas are with 65, 7Cs with 62s, same point shared with XBROTHERS at 62s, and one more team joining in the frame. And then we get to see not sort of big drop, but still a significant drop from the second half of the chart, and at least Unstoppable is there with a total of 49 points. And at the end of the day, maybe after the end of this wrangle that will be played after this match, when we come out of this short little break, we'll get to see Unstoppable fathoming in their own way, and they will be trying to bloom in.
Hopefully they do so. I mean, for now, of course, the gameplay that they've showcased is working in their favor. Talking about the third page, the final page of the overall right now, we are looking at bad intentions with the 4 games that they have been able to play, with only 12 points working in their favor. Kings of D also with 4 games that they have participated in, 17 points for them. So a lot is to be expected from the side, but eventually we do see Oxygen Esports chiming in along with the 1 kill and 8 decent points that they were able to get, and thus they've got 9 points. So yeah, one good game can certainly help Oxygen Esports as well. Hopefully
And
that
also
game
bad
can be
intentions.
saved. Oh yes, bad intentions as well. I mean, bad intentions, they do need to showcase a lot more than they have done so till now in the semifinals. But maybe they're just testing the waters. Maybe they're going to be chiming in along and showcasing that sort of a prowess that they do own in the final game. Hopefully, again, I mean, it's just one of those days that's turning into such a slow game that was not expected from these groups. Again, for example, Venom Legends is part of the saga, but is not participating in that sort of fights and is
Yeah.
being contested rather whenever they participate. So crazy days what this is turning out to be, but amazing turn of events indeed. With that, one final game is remaining. Before we jump into that, we're going to go on a very, very short break. Stick around. We're going to be right back.
Are you keeping it real? I'm calling shotgun, wanna see my baby run. Oh, what's the word on the sea? Kicking up the dust,
All right, welcome back to PUBG Mobile National Championship Bangladesh region. This is semi-final day number 2. All thanks to Oppo F19 Pro for making it all happen. With that final game of the day, it is going to be on Erangel. We are looking at Group B and C trying to dominate again. IPG just in perfect control of the situation. 7C looking really, really comfortable in terms of their gameplay. With only 4 games, they've been able to accumulate 62 points. So amazing stats working right there. And so again, final game. I'm keeping my fingers crossed and hoping that Venom Legends should be the one to create a bit more of a lead in terms of their points. But what do you think, Ankit? Is that possible?
They have to. They have to. If they don't, it will be IPG that will be surpassing them, and that's not a picture that Venom Legends would love to enjoy to watch for themselves. Because
True.
Venom Legends playing back-to-back 5 matches, and it's IPG that eventually was not even in the frame before the start of the day. We weren't even counting IPG for that first contestation, for that first mark. Just imagine IPG taking down and trespassing Venom Legends. Even if 1 point, that will be certainly daunting that hopes and shattering the hopes of Venom Legends for today. Eventually, that's not the
Right.
end of the day. That's not the end of the game. But team, if IPG does that, they have the caliber, they have the potential, because we have seen in the past. Just try to contrast the gameplay of IPG from day one to day two. And the yesterday's gameplay, we were seeing a lot of less sort of coordination, and things were not going in the favor, even if they were trying to take the fight. Today, everything has been just spot on, right on the money. The hawk side that we talk about, and that's because the players have learned from the past. They are now trying to recover from it, and just here we go. Two chicken from the day, and they have certainly be been that first team to get on the first slot. We have to still wait for that when the game ends, because this is the last game for day 2 of semi-final. This is the Erangel, ladies and gentlemen. The flight path is already on, completely dominating to the southern side from the sides of Remorse and Fairy Pearl, going down to the Zelivo, Lipovka, and between the power, completely southern dominated flight path, as we say. That means the team that loves to go towards the northern side. And just imagine the team like Sports Pajamas, Tuseverny, IPG, close towards the area of Georgopol, they will be in a bit of trickier situation. We have to still wait for that. Do they have any sort of different drop location or plan B? That will be unwinding. And second thing, maybe just because this flight path is not allowing most of the team to go towards the northern side, we might get to see some sort of drop collision. What do you have to say on this?
Well, that could be the case. For now, of course, when you talk about the military base, that is being taken over by Python, as well as, of course, the Kings of BD for the moment. Alongside that, it certainly does seem like when it comes down to 7C's approach, they have changed their approach a little. No, I spoke too soon. They are again going to go down towards their own known Novorapnoi top location. And in that, when it comes to the circle is going to be throwing a little bit of a curveball. Interesting turn of events where Yasna Poliana is going to be the center pretty much of the zone. And this will in turn allow the teams that have moved on down towards the eastern side are going to be in comfort of their own locations. Mortem right there looking absolutely wonderful again. The fanned out approach that we see from them on this map right now is the way that Mortem loves to play, and the play that they make is working in their favor for the moment as they are walking away with decent amount of points. This team, however, well, again, the tides have changed a little bit. That we can certainly see and say, because after all, we did see this team walk away with 9 points total. So decent play style. Of course, it was the placement points that worked in this team's favor, and that is something that every single time I keep on mentioning like a broken record that if your play is not working out, if the day is not working out in your favor, it's absolutely fine to fall back on plan B or C and try and work towards placement points, and those placement points will at least keep you fighting and being part of the game itself. Otherwise, again, as the journey was continuing on for the side of Oxygen, it was not looking good. I mean, this team had played 3 games and had absolutely no points whatsoever at all, and that is something that I do not want to be a part of. Along with that, talk about unstoppable in their journey. Walked away with 10 kills in the previous game. Amazing stats right there working for the team. So beautiful play that has been showcased from the lobbies for certain teams that are doing very good and certain teams that are just not changing their play style. Hopefully, this final game will showcase a different play style and result for the side of course, of Esports, VNM Legends, and the likes. But let's see.
Definitely, we had to see for this last game of Erangel. But for now, Unstoppable trying to loot down to the area of Water City where we get to see. And one thing that I certainly love about this team and I would mention it, that they go for all those vehicles that are completely spawned down to this area. Then this is one thing that certain teams lack upon. We have seen Venom Legends in the earliest stage of the today's game, where they were picked down because two players were rotating in the same UAS, and just because of lack of vehicle usage, they were being pinned down. But Unstoppable is making sure that they don't do such sort of rookie mistakes, and for now they are completely looking good for now. On the other hand, IPG, it seems that they have already looted and trying to go for those rotations, or maybe just trying to loot here and there, because they are completely close towards where players of XBROTHERS are. So now these sort of circles completely left half of the circle. You talk about cities like Severny, Solver, Kamishki, Asnaya, Poryana completely open. And in this lobbies today, I guess none of the team from BNC loves to go towards the area of Yasnaya Polyana. So just imagine if the circle goes towards the area of Yasnaya Polyana, as we have seen, it was not an urban finish, but still the circle went towards the area of Milta. So it's a probability that circle might go towards the area of Yasnaya Polyana, following the same trend. Then it will be a lot of ruckus that can be created, and we would love to see, because Citify at the end of the day eventually comes down to how you use your utilities, those grenades, those molotovs to its perfection, and how you spot down the players, and how you held your nerve, because it's really tough to push in those apartments that do offer. And you have humongous and enormous amount of apartments, if we have to talk about this, in the area of especially Asnapol, and it's a big city. So it's a big city. It can be a situation where circle can tend to go there, but it will be giving a lot of team to go in their own space. But for now, uh, let's see how the fight actually pans out, because Kings of BD already trying to loot down the area of a military base where Python used to be there, but some sort of different sort of approach. This time Python, we can already see, as 2-2 player, they are playing in a split. On the other hand, it's SLX just trying to loot down the area of Milta and Milta Power. And throughout this national championship, we have seen SLX going down to the same area, and once they were the team that got the second or third position the first game of Erangel. So whenever the circle comes into the lap, they play it to perfection. They make sure that they don't let any stone unturned. But since the circle this time is not in their favor, because after the shift, Milta Power will be completely going away from their hands. So now it comes down to how they strategizes when the curveball and the odds are against them.
Most certainly, we shall have to see if the circle actually will push on along towards the side of the team or against them. But along with that, talking about TRZRA, another team that has showcased some perfect plays, but today, sadly, has not been their day. Today, sadly, they've not been able to utilize the opportunities to perfection. Eventually, of course, they have played their cards right. So, of course, as of now, they find themselves in the top 8 position and looking really comfortable. But as the game progresses on along from one day to the next, TRZRA are going to have to up their game every single day to play in the top 16 and the finals itself. 7C on the other tangent have been beautiful to witness. I mean, this game, the kind of game that 7C have been showcasing us has been next to perfect. I mean, we do see right there they've got 62 points on the 5th spot is where they are at. And once again, when it comes down to 7C, they've only played 5 games. This is their 5th game, and already in the 4 games they've been able to accumulate 62 points. And XBROTHERS have played 9 games. This is going to be their 10th game, and in 10 games XBROTHERS have accumulated 62 points. So in 9 games rather, let's say. So again, there's a big difference. There's a massive difference in terms of the play style and the class that is part of this lobby. But eventually, that class and part that is in the lobby is the competition that some of these teams have to face. And well, if you cannot, then perhaps it's not going to be an easy task. Like, for example, for Oxygen Esports is trying to take on fights. There's nothing stopping them from doing so. They are not running away from them. But again, the class that we're talking about is just so massive and so very varied that the experience that the other teams are bringing to the table, like, for example, IPGx or, of course, VNM Legends or the likes of 7Cs, it is difficult to stand up to that sort of a caliber. But eventually, it's not impossible. We've seen that happen, and we know that it is going to be tough luck, but eventually there are teams who have been able to showcase that sort of a prowess against these known teams as well. So hopefully Oxygen Esports is able to bring up that sort of a play style for themselves as we move the game on along. It is 8-minute marks and no fights.
Still no fight, as you just mentioned. Slow, steady start. What do you expect to see? Because at the end of the day, we have seen a lot of records that has been created in the round of 32, and now it's the team that have and found themselves in a sweet spot, taking the sweet time, settled with the drop locations. Apart from Oxygen ES, that did show that sparkling gameplay, those sparkling gameplay at the start of the 2-3 matches. But now it seems that they are settled for now, and this is a good sign for them because. If we love to see chaos, it's certain team that gets punished and certain team that gets dented onto them, because at the end of the day it's always beautiful and it's always enticing to see the fights happening. But for not the teams that are literally playing on that battleground. But for now it seems the circle is straight away going into the area of Yasnaya Polena, and these sort of circles I guess tends to go either onto that front side of Yasnaya Polena, where we get to see a lot of wheat farms, or maybe constructing towards the area of Yashnaya mansion or shelter. We have to get to see. But bots in pajamas, certainly a very good drop choice, because we saw in the early stage of the game, since flight path was not favoring them, they didn't go towards the Severny, but they found that it's the Lipovka where none of the team from this lobby go to that city. So they have now looted, they have made a successful rotation, they are holding the centralized position. Even if the circle tends to go away from them, they really have a very good chance for now to convert this into not even a chicken, close to that chicken, and they are looking pretty strong. So not much of action happening in this game apart from the action that just landed on this land of Erangel, where we get to see Groza and a level 3 complete kit, that adrenaline syringe, and that actually helps the player eventually if they are low on health.
Well, it most certainly does. And with that, moving on to the fights, finally 10-minute marker, we are seeing NRZ Esports bring up a little bit of a burst damage towards the side of XBROTHERS rotation, but of course were not able to annihilate the rotation itself or the play that XBROTHERS were trying to make. In doing so, NRZ Esports have given away the information, but XBROTHERS, we do know that they do not really end up retaliating that quick into the game itself. They're going to find themselves in the comfort of the zone first, going to find themselves in the comfort of perhaps a beautiful look compound as well in the zone, and that is hopefully when they can try and take on a fight. But right now, that is not looking like the case. They were being shot on. Of course, they've stopped in the tracks. There's a little bit of dip in the void right here, and of course right next to them, or rather not next to them, but close off, is going to be VNM Legends players as well. So this has turned into an interesting position for the side of XBROTHERS, as their rotation has been cut from NRZ, and now they are having to, well, think twice before they make this rotation count, because if they keep on pushing on along towards the other edge, they will then be coming in between VNM Legends position, and that is something that of course XBROTHERS do not want to be able to participate in. And of course for now they've read the cards right. They're going to be moving away from the situation, and along with that, IPGx right here try and take on a fight against the players of from the looks of it, it is going to be Kings of BD. But Kings of BD are going to get the better half of this fight. Dictator has been knocked, Sensei has been already sent and eliminated. This has turned into two-player affair where it's the Censored and Mahfouz Whitey who are taking this long-range fight. But will that be enough? Because Kings of BD are looking in control. The mini working in with the tap shots are absolutely on point. Of course, the Tesla will not be able to survive for long with this onslaught being brought on from the side of course, Devil, and he is just dominating against the players of course, IPGx. Not looking too good, but eventually, as we talk about these two teams fighting, we've got DoD, the first team to be sent back into the lobby.
Indeed, a sad state of affairs for DoD. They must not be happy, but till now they have had a pretty good run for now, and so as the players of Kings of BD securing 3 kills, they have really made it tough for IPG, that till now has been actually blooming in this 4 previous matches that we have played, and we have seen how it actually went into IPG's weight. But now it's IPG. So now whenever circle tends to go away from most of the teams, we have seen teams dominating when the circle goes into their favor, the circle comes into their position. But some teams really need to come out of that blue and try to perform and outshine and have that plan B approach, that if circle goes away from them, what sort of approach, what sort of thing that they can actually fan out. Because IPG, I was expecting for them to have a safe sort of rotation, because from the other side there was not a lot of team. But even in that situation, some players were so careless, I would say, because it was just Kings of BD in the same vicinity, and they could have easily survived the onslaught had there been some sort of cautious gameplay come in. But but so was not the case, as IPG has been just brought down to 2 men. We have to still wait and watch how the 2 players can take the fight, because 2 players are still very much able and have the caliber to take at least a squad down, even if they do 2v4 situation and then take the fight in its own hand. But the circle has gone away, and What's in pajamas? Now they have made an approach. They went towards the area of Lipovka. The circle is completely going away and away from them. They are holding the edge of the circle. So now it comes down to how they go for the centralized approach. Will they or will they not? That time only will tell, because it's the Yasnaya Polyana sort of circle where each and every compartment and apartments are in the circle. And realizing the fact, XBROTHERS have already set themselves in a position where they can have a very good stronghold for now.
They most certainly can. For now, we are 14 minutes in, and as has been the custom for the day, around 14:50 minute marker time is when finally the teams decide to get amongst the fighting stance that is required on the battleground, and that is what we are looking at. Of course, it is XBROTHERS who finally seem to have formed themselves onto a decent compound in the Yasnaya region itself. And again, I have to commend your start right there, Ankit, because you were mentioning that it might just go down towards Yasnaya, and well, it has, and it is, of course, turning into the city sort of a brawl that this fight is turning out into, and the battleground is certainly open for the masses to chime in along with. Of course, it is XBROTHERS who are trying to get the better half of this position and are trying to, well, stop other teams in their tracks, but it certainly has not worked out for them as of now, because they've not been able to get even a single kill or knock confirmed for the moment. But they do have a lot of teams in their crosshairs. From one side they've got 70, from the other they've got NRZ. So interesting turn of events is what we can expect for this team of XBROTHERS. But will it be enough? The position working in their favor, but will it be enough? The information working in their favor, but will they be able to retaliate is where the question will be. Faisal, from the side of XBROTHERS, most of the times is the one who tries to aggressively make a stance, but this time around, after all, that stance has resulted in all the other 3 teams that he's been taking a fight against knowing exactly their position. So it is going to be a tough situation that XBROTHERS are going to find themselves in. But overall, I mean, we still have 15 teams alive. This is just absolute craziness that's going on along. And with that, I'm sure the circle is going to make another shift. Yes, it does, and pushes them away from the safety net of the compounds themselves out in the open. And this is where the King of the Hill situation could very well chime in along. And looking at the rotation that Kings of BD have been able to make, this could be their game.
I mean, definitely. They were trying to go for the edge approach, where they were not just confident enough to take the fight. They were just waiting. But look at the rush that the teams are making from the southern side. It's Mortem making rotation. It's NRZ. It's VNM Legend. It's Oxygen. It's 6 official. I mean, complete lobby in a rush have now started making a rush and gush. And in this, a lot of casualty has been broken down. And in this, VNM Legend is the one that is really trying to make the most of the situation. They don't just really care that where they are actually positioned. They are at the end of the day on the edge of the circle. They have the compound. That means they can go enjoy more and more kills. The team that are just trying to make a safe passage, make a rotation, and that can be real a big hindrance, because it's at the end of the day, it's the power or the gun power of VNM Legends going against you. But on the other hand, it's NRZ receiving a lot of shots from the sides of Unstoppable, and where NRZ was actually positioned, it is Unstoppable that have made a complete stamina. Leviathan taking fight in zone, but takes Insane down, but was just not able to take Merciful, as Merciful survives on a brink of HP, and once he revives himself, when he puts the first aid himself, he how Frypan Steel Shot will be taking its own way, but
Well, for the moment, that certainly seems to be the case. And it is Venom's Void who was just absolutely decimating with the main parade that he was able to bring along towards the players of TRZRA. And it is Sabir who is all left by himself, but not for long, because after all, the vehicle will explode and take him along with it. 4 kills to the side of TRZRA and will be eliminated on the 14th position. We still have 13 teams remaining, 18 minutes into the game. Venom Legends have certainly shined in along as they push on from the edges into the zone itself, look at really dominating with a lot of force, have been able to get 5 kills already for themselves. And on the other tangent, we are looking at, of course, right here, Oxygen Esports being another team that did work towards getting those placement points, but eventually now will be sent back into the lobby. Only one player remaining for the side of Oxygen Esports, and it is all thanks to 69 official as they pushed on along. In the kill feed, we can already see that Bad Intentions are also in a fight of their own with SLX, and they are taking knocks. Quite a lot of knocks are being given away to the side of Bad Intentions, whereas SLX are looking like in control. They've got a knock on their own as well. But when it comes to the number department, it is Bad Intentions who have 2 knocks, so thus turning that Bad Intention and SLX fight into a 2v2 affair. On the other tangent, Venom are going to be dominating, but for how long we shall have to see, as we do have 7C, who is still part of the fight. With only a 2-man army, they are going to be rushing it along with the 4th circle. 19 minutes already into the game. We've got 36 players still alive.
Exactly, we have 36 players still alive, and we are heading to the 5th circle of this match, and 12 teams alive. 6 unofficial really have a very good chance to convert this into a chicken. Will they be able to? We have to still wait for that. And so do have VNM Legends. Since they are on the edge of the circle, they have a good chance to capitalize onto that. But on the east western side, we can already see XBROTHERS and teams like Kings of BD trying to dominate the lobby. And if the circle tends to go away from them side, just imagine if it completely goes towards the northern side. And so it does. That means Bad Intentions, SLX will be having a complete big hand onto this chicken. And in all these situations, bots in pajamas really need to flourish themselves up. And so do the new two SLX. As SLX, they are still 2 men alive. Rescue at 6-9. In the last game, we saw them getting annihilated. It was the game of Erangel that they really shined upon. It's again Erangel. Can this be again one more chicken, or maybe close to chicken? That's the case, but it seems that Kings of BD are in a real rush, and they are just trying to decimate Pat's intention and shatter their hopes of getting even close to chicken. Just because of that, Shipu is making sure that he is making a lot of damage onto the players of Bad Intentions. Find is down to Bad Intentions for D that is still surviving, but for how long? That's the case, as Bad Intention with just 1 kill walks away from this match.
Well, it is GG play coming in from the side of Kings of BC. Indeed, it was a good fight that they took. Almost were brought down to their knees thanks to Bad Intentions for Dean, but eventually he was knocked and killed. And of course, that is the end of Bad Intentions. And Kings of BD will be able to get the revival to their players as they push on along. We still have 11 teams alive. We are in the 5th circle itself. And when it comes down to the location itself, it is looking like Kings of BD are going to be in control, because after all, the Kings of the Hill situation is working for them. But right next to them, of course, is going to be SLX as well. And SLX are not wanting to back down. They've got a lot of smoke cover. They are taking on quite a lot of fights. They've not been able to get points for now, but eventually now this is the moment where the points are going to be converted, and this team will not be resisting from the same. Kings of BD right there on top are just in control of all the aggression that can be showcased from the entirety of the lobby. For now, when it comes down to the teams that are alive, we still are looking at, of course, 11 teams. It is going to be quite an open area, but will the push of the circle move this away from the likes of Kings of BD? We shall have to see. Along with that, VNM Legends being sent back onto the lobby with 8 kills. 10th position elimination is going to be coming in for the side of 6-9 official, thus leaving us with 9 teams. SLX looking pretty good with the 3-man army that they've got. Kings of BD also looking pretty decent with the 3-man army that they've got. But how exactly will this be panned out? Because again, when you talk about the forecast, it is saying that XBROTHERS would probably be in a better hand to take this chicken dinner. That's mainly because they've got 4 members alive, perhaps.
Exactly.
But that will not be enough, or will it? We shall have to see.
Definitely, that's the case. I just mentioned, just because they're 4 man alive, they don't have the best of the best position that we talk about in this map, because till now it's Kings of BD that have been completely ruling the situation, as you have been constantly seeing. And some players have been knocked down, they will begin the revival, but that's not the case, because the circle has completely gone away, and it seems that it's Kings of but it's XBROTHERS that have been completely being favored. No, it's not even the XBROTHER. It's just the one player. I guess maybe it's the sides players from the sides of Oxygen that is in the dead smack center. And yes, he is. It's the EXO boy that is sitting in the dead smack center. And at any point, at any time, he might be eliminated. It's on the back end side. It's bots in pajamas, all 4 players. And even if some synchronized grenade gets connected, there is a dip, and in dip, it can be a graveyard situation. But on the other hand, Kings of BD is still resisting the onslaught that was coming in from the sides of Unstoppable. But now they are trying to make a rotation from the left hand side, and they will be facing a fight against Bots in Pajamas. Now it's all down to 5 team, as Python TZ has also been taken down. Bots in Pajamas ruling in from the northern side. They are completely flourishing in this angle. Bots in Pajamas really need a chicken, because in this today's gameplay they didn't have a chicken, nor even getting close towards the chicken. Since they are bringing all 4 men alive to this last 6 circle, they have a very good chance for now. So do the players of Unstoppable. They are also looking pretty decent. If they survive the onslaught for the next 2 to 3 minutes, they will really have a good shy over that chicken. But see, the Kings of BD, they were the King of Hill. They were in the King of Hill situation. They were taking fight, but now since the circle has certainly shifted away from their side, there was no other option than to make a rotation. And while making a rotation, you need to make sure that there are a lot of team from where you will be getting a lot of gunfights, and you need to take care about, and not taking care about has led to their demise. That still 2 players, I guess, still surviving with Bots in Pajamas. Certainly the winner chicken dinner forecast has risen from 20 to 35%.
Well, it certainly has. I mean, Mr. BBC is in control of so many of those fights, and eventually, again, all the players of BIP do know what to expect when it comes down to those final moments. But alongside that, we also do have XBROTHERS, who have not yet chimed in along in terms of the aggressive stance that we can expect from them, and they also do have those opportunities and the area working in their favor. But will they be able to retaliate against a team like BIP? Because Bots in Pajamas, they are in control. I mean, every single time you talk about a fight, it is going to be BIP's players who are taking on those shots from one side to the next. Along with that, Oxygen, wow, I mean, just GG play coming in for this side as well, because Exo Boy just somehow in the center, keeping alive and working towards those placement points. No team has been able to spot him. Just amazing turn of events indeed. With that, UnstoppableX will be sent back into the lobby, thanks to, of course, once again, BIP, and it is looking like BIP are probably going to be taking a chicken dinner. But where is XBROTHERS? What exactly is their position, and how exactly do they intend to retain this information for themselves and convert it into a fight of their own? This is quite a crazy turn of events. 25 minutes in, 4 teams alive. Exo Boy smack in the center, just working towards those placement points. Amazing how nobody has spotted him. Kings of BD have been eliminated this team with only 3 teams. Exo Boy all by himself, along with, of course, XBROTHERS and BIP.
Definitely, they are looking pretty much strong, as you just mentioning throughout this tournament. As if you are not comfortable with those gun points and those skill points, you can just go for the placement points, and we are getting a perfect example. That's the epitome of how to play for those placement points. X-Boy has made it sure that till now he has not been able to attract a lot of attentions, and even now in this fight where we have just got 3 teams where 4 players from the sides of Bots in Pajamas are charging in, and sooner or later it will be the XBROTHERS Sherlock demise, as he was just not taking care of where he's actually trying to hide on. But for how long X-Boy will still survive, or even he will be trying to dent the situation, because X-Boy, the way he has hidden himself in this situation, in a place, at any point he can or he may be able to kill still the situation, and we have to still wait for that. But it's really looking pretty tough for XBROTHERS, because they are completely engulfed. They are trying to create the smoke cloud, but once they try to come out in the open, sooner or later the players will be taken down. But on the other hand, Bots in Pajamas have certainly received a lot of shots, but was just not enough to at least bring one more knock. Now it's all down to one player from the sides of XBROTHERS, and that is gonna be Fazal. He will be eventually taken down, and before he's taken down, it's XY still surviving.
How? How is this happening? Wow. XBROTHERS have been eliminated. Now, of course, the rush is to try and find the final player. And X-Boy right there, smack in the center, right next to where, of course, BIP's players are. Have absolutely no idea where the player is. But eventually, of course, he will be taken down. Boy, oh boy. Talk about placement points. That is the best way to go down, X-Boy. I mean, you got some amazing points with that, and with that sort of a play style, of course. And BIP, I mean, yes, this team was in control. They have been able to walk away with 14 kills, 2,171 damage dished out throughout the entirety of this game, with the overall ranking bringing them up to the 3rd spot. But how big a leap has VNM Legends made? I really do want to see. They walked out with 8 kills in this game, and of course, when it comes down to the gameplay itself, somehow today has just not been their day, not the kind of day that we anticipated from them.
I mean, exactly. Just the 8 kills in this match, and rest of the game they didn't really had a very good game for them, because at the end of the day, you are playing 5 match for the day. Not even closer to the chicken, not even any 12 placement points. That means Venom Legends certainly lacking for today. But I guess when they come in and chime in for the next days, they will be having their guns set upon, and they will trying to rectify all the mistakes that they have committed. For now, let's head to the most valuable player for this match, and that's gonna be Mr. BBC from Bots in Pajamas. 796 damage, 7 total kills, and he was certainly the man in power, the man who actually ruled the Erangel from that eastern and western side, I would say, because at the end of the day, it's with Bots in Pajamas that completely had that spread out approach, and they were just not allowed any team from any point or from any edge of the map to even come closer towards them. And then it was all down to how they eliminated XBROTHERS, and one, they put the final nail in the coffin. It was Exo Boy from the sides of Oxygen that really tries to surprise them, to an extent, but then it was the numbers advantage that really paved the way for Bots in Pajamas. And I really wanted Bots in Pajamas to get at least one chicken for the day, and there you go. At the end of the day, they got the chicken, and with a lot of kill in their own hand, as BBC gets the 7 kills into its own hand. Sherlock again with 319 longest distance kills. So for today's gameplay, from the sides of XBrother, it has been a Sherlock, a show standout performer from their side, because in the game of Erangel, he did 1v3 against 7Cs. In this game also, he was the star out performer. Eventually, he perished because it was then Boss in Pajama that was ruling pretty strong, but it was certainly a game for BIP Esports. 14 total kills, a total of 29 points. Kings of BD eventually chimed in because they had that circle, they went for the late rotation, and surprisingly, fortunately, anything you say, it was their circle, and they tried to dominate, and they really did it their own way.
They most certainly did. I mean, walking away with 14 kills, looking pretty neat, and Kings of PD right there, of course, with 11 kills working for them. So Circle 4 most certainly did help out quite a lot. Along with that, Oxygen Esports is the team to talk about with that 1 kill and 12 placement points, 13 points in total. This team was not looking good when it came down to the first today, as they were not able to get even a single point. But now they've understood the game, they've understood the play, that if that's not working, we're going to work towards those placement points. And what a perfect strat, because it certainly did help. Now in the overall ranking, we'll see what sort of a play has that resulted in for the side of Oxygen Esports. But on the other tangent, bad intentions. Now this team today has not really been shining much. They have been trying, they've been taking the fights, but have been dropped down again and again. And
Exactly.
hopefully, as we progress on, they've got 15 games still remaining, so hopefully they will be able to understand what exactly is it that is missing from their game style.
I mean, exactly. Bad intentions really need to think about the gameplay that actually happened for them. And this is certainly not the day, this is certainly not the gameplay that we get to see more often, because BIT was some team that actually finished on the top chart in the top 8 eventually at the end of the round of 32, and they look completely a different team. But in today's gameplay, I was just not expecting. Maybe when they come in the next day's gameplay, they will have something in for their back, because IPG was also looking pretty much same until and unless they got this last 5 matches for today's gameplay, and they just outshined. So at the end of the day, anything can happen.
It most certainly can, and that is something that we shall have to see and hope that will be the play brought on along, because after all, when it comes down to the semi-finals, only 20 games are going to be allowed to be played for all of these teams, and 20 games, well, so few of these teams have already played 10 games in total, right? So that is something that these teams are going to have to keep in mind, that every single game they participate in, they are going to have to try and be consistent, and consistency is the key. That is something, if you run away from, well, the opportunity to be a part of that top 16 is going to run away from you.
I mean, exactly. You just need to be finding yourself in the top 16, and all these runs, all these efforts are just chiming in, are just going in to its perfection to be in the top 16. At the end of the day, from the top 24, that will be the top 26 that will be up for the next one, and that will be something that most of the team will be eyeing upon for them. On the overall ranking is on our TV screen as Venom Legends topping that list. And they have, fortunately, I would say, because it was not pretty much possible, because the 8 kills actually helped them get closer towards the century mark, and now they are sitting on the 107 total points after the end of 10 matches. A1 Esports, just imagine, I guess maybe 20, 25 to 26 points is what they are lacking for them. So even esports, once they come in, it will be just a matter of 1 or 2 matches for them when they start to dominate in the lobby. IPG also didn't have a very good run, not eventually adding a single point from this tally, because at the end of the 9 matches they were on 25. Uh, an early elimination for them, and just because of that, no addition in total point system. But bots and pajamas certainly looking pretty strong after the end of 9 matches, securing 2 chicken. They are on the third position. But you really need to talk about Mortem ES. The way they have played in the past and the way they are playing in the present. 10 matches on to 9th spot. The point total is also a total on an average of 5.3 points per matches. This is something looking pretty good. There are not a lot of kills into the number, but certainly the placement points.
Well. I guess these players are learning quick. From
Yeah,
day one,
exactly.
I've been talking about it. That yep, get your placement points working right, and I guess that's what these teams are doing. So decent state of affair for the moment. Of course, we have completed the introduction of the three groups, of course, by introducing Group C today. And again, when it came down to Group C, they did bring in some interesting plays altogether, of course, but overall, not the kind of aggressive plays that were required have been showcased. But hopefully, as the days progress on along in the semi-finals, that will be brought on. With that, Oxygen Esports, 2 games basically, right? In the first 3 games, they did absolutely nothing. But in 2 games, they've been able to accumulate 22 total points. So amazing stats working in their favor for the moment. But they just have to do this every single game to move away from this third page into the top 16. And the journey, of course, does not end there.
I mean, definitely, you need to be in the top 16 at the end of the day. So slowly and steadily, you need to take a leap, get closer to the what the total the team is holding at the 17th position, and then you can try to get on the first half of the chart, try to cement your lead, as we have seen in the past the team as do. But bad intentions really not looking good. Still on the third half of the chart with total of, I guess, 15 or 16 points. We'll talk about this later, but let's head to the daily report that we get to see. I would say that the card that we get to see where 7Cs finds himself in the damage list. Kills goes to IPG, heals TRZ, knockout 7Cs. Damage received unstoppable. So complete domination and a random shift of gameplay where it's TRZ, it's 7Cs, it's IPG, it's unstoppable. A lot of different teams coming into the play. But it was at the end of the day, I would say, if you have to sum up the day, it was a domination by IPG.
It most certainly was looking like ferocious animals, this team, and were able to, well, most certainly able to convert those into amazing points for themselves as well. Sadly, not the kind of start for VNM Legends, but eventually, again, when you talk about the kill leaders, we still do have Nightwing maintaining the top position with 19 kills, 3,855 damage that he's been able to dish out in the 10 games that he has played. So amazing stats working for him, as well as his teammate Steelshot, who's on the third spot with the kill leaders. And of course, Bimo, with the playstyle that he's been able to bring in today, has got 15 kills and is on the second position with 2,257 damage dished out. So again, I mean, I think almost double the amount of damage that and the fights that he's been able to take compared to Bimo. But overall, this is what the start is, just based on the 10 games and basically the semi-final games that these teams have played.
Exactly, they are really pretty looking good for now because VNM Legends are topping the chart. Eventually, they will go down, I guess, when A1 Esports come into play, because A1 Esports completely comes in with a different sort of approach. They have different sort of gameplay, and we have seen in the past. But for now, VNM Legends have been doing pretty. It was not today's day where VNM Legends have shined to its best, but then again, it was essentially that they hit. But IPG's player, it's Mahfouz, it's Dictator that has been completely outshining the lobby, and they have been the real star performers for IPG. Venom Legends steel shot damage is completely significant as we talk about, because 3,946, that's the maximum damage, the highest damage in the whole lobby that we see. But still, in the kill department, he is lagging. So he's not just getting the sort of kill conversion rate, and just because of that, we can see he is a bit laggy in sort of kill. But I guess once more and more game progresses, because they are halfway down here. 20 total games, a team play, they are halfway down here. They have played 10 games,
True.
and rest 10 of the games, maybe they can just go in all guns blazing.
Well, again, that would be the hope. That would certainly be the story that they want to tell. But eventually, will that work in their favor or not is the conversation for another day. Because after all, I mean, teams like VNM Legends were working perfectly dominating when it came down to the quarterfinals, but in the semis, the way they started off today, at least, not really looking too dominating. Yes, they were able to get decent amount of kills for themselves, but that's not the kind of VNM Legends that we know. So that brought on along. Hopefully, that story will change from them. But on the other tangent, teams that we did not anticipate are doing absolutely well. Like for example, Mortem was not doing
Yeah.
good, but in the semifinals, they are consistently, bringing in the best play possible and keeping themselves in the top 16. So beautiful turn of events indeed, but anything can happen. That's what the day has to tell us.
Exactly.
When you've got uh, how do you even summarize it, right? For the first 20 minutes, there are absolutely no fights. And then in the 5 minutes later, all teams jump in with the action and bonkers, just bonkers it.
And especially the game of Sanhok, where we get to see close to 17 or 18 minutes, it was just one or more or two players that was picked off,
Wow.
and that was off guard. And then, so this is some sort of gameplay that I haven't seen in the past. Eventually, at the end
True.
of the day, what you expect from the game of Sanhok is a fast-paced approach. Even you get to see some sort of drop. Collision, you get to see sandwich, you get to see third party situation, but so was not the case. So teams have played really passively, they were pacified, and things have really paid for them.
Well, indeed, that is the case. With that, day number 2 of the semifinals does come to an end. We are going to be back again tomorrow with some more games. But it is, of course, thanks to you guys sitting back at home. Do not forget to showcase your love to the teams that you are supporting. And of course, with that, it is the end of the stream. Thank you so very much for tuning in. We'll be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care.